Good morning. Thought I'd help you wake up.
It's 6 a.m., and you're listening to The John Kincade Show, Philadelphia's longest-running sports talk morning show on 97.5 The Fanatic, Philadelphia.
Let the party begin!
The show starts now.
Yeah, it starts now. Welcome in, John Kincade Show on 97.5 The Fanatic. Your Thursday morning begins as Bradford White Water Heaters brings you the 6 o'clock hour of the John Kincade Show. I had hot water this morning. Did you? Did you have adequate hot water? Check out Bradford White. They are the absolute best. And we wake up this morning where we would just be talking about the Sixers and the Celtics. And we're going to talk a lot about that starting out the show today. And we'll plenty as we build towards the Birds and the Chiefs coming up on Monday night. But instead, we once again are put into the 76ers realm of days of our lives, where there is constantly something going on with the 76ers. And it truly is, to me, sort of amazing that we're again talking about sort of nonsense or off-the-court stuff or that with the Kelly Oubre situation. What do we know as fact? The Philadelphia police cannot find any evidence that Kelly Oubre was hit by a car. So they then go to local businesses and say, if you have any video of this time period, and they give them the exact time period that Kelly Oubre said this happened, give us the information. If you've got it, if you've got anything, and two different businesses supply their information and say, we got nothing. I will not speculate on whether he's lying, whether he is, I've heard people speculating about what they think happened. I'm not doing that. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt until it's totally proven wrong. But one thing that appears to be totally proven wrong is there was no mention at any time of a bike. And in the Ring video that gets sold to TMZ, by the way, there was Ring video sold to TMZ. So I read my own. We have Ring cameras at our house. So I go and ring my Ring terms of engagement today that we have with them. And so the Oubres, it would appear, because they are the only people who would have access to that video, that is, even takes them inside their apartment with the Ring doorbell, that they sold video to TMZ or gave video to TMZ. It's a weird story. And, Bob, I know you've been working this, talking to people you know. What do we know? Anything that seems extra strange here? Because this is, to me, it's about as strange as you got.
Yeah, it's weird. That at first I don't know. I don't.
It's the truth, right?
Yeah, I talked to some sources yesterday, some police sources and all, and I think they're as baffled as anyone else. It seems confusing. Some things aren't adding up, obviously. Where the injury occurred on his body might not flow with what the first report was, that it was a car.
Right.
And then an SUV. The rib that was broken is higher up. For a 6'7" man to get hit higher up, it's probably not a car.
The mirror of the car couldn't
reach up there. There's different things. Whether it happened somewhere else and he was confused or dazed at what had happened. I don't know about the bike. I don't know if the bike was in the hallway and he just grabbed it as he was walking in. I don't know. I was talking with someone pretty much all afternoon yesterday, and this is somebody in the know. They were as confused as we are right now. So,
and again, like you would agree, there's no use. It's not. First of all, it's totally inappropriate to speculate and to come up with scenarios like, oh, this happened or that happened. I wouldn't even put words to them. But one thing that did happen is there was no mention of a bike, which is weird to me, because a 6'7" guy on a bike, there's no way his.
Well, there you're speculating because all you saw was him walking.
Right, well, I'm wondering but he never talked about walking with a bike.
Well, the bike might have been in the hallway. Like this.
That could be. You're right. You're right.
Could have been. He just grabbed it. Like
that's a good point.
So you can't speculate at all. Like this is where the difference is with journalism and people that want to do what you do. yesterday I looked and tried to get some facts. Even the people that are on this case couldn't give facts because they just didn't know. The facts are that things haven't been proven yet. The speculation part is never a place I'll go. And like with the bike, we can't. I don't know. The bike might have been sitting in the hallway and he just grabbed it to put it in the house. You don't know anything about that or him being on a bike or anything like that. So, yeah, a lot of speculation will happen until you find out the absolute truth. That's all you can do.
See, now that's a good point because I didn't even think of the bike being speculation, but you make the great point of, well, it could have been sitting, maybe it was on a bike rack in the lobby, and he just decided to bring it up. I would find that a little strange while you're in the midst of this traumatic, I got hit by a car, but you make a great point there. Everything right now is speculation. But, Pat, it seems like this organization just can't avoid it. We can't avoid dealing with, if there's a nonsense story that's going to take up information or take up our time, it seems like these kind of things gravitate to the Sixers.
It does. I'm more concerned with the fact that they can't avoid losing to the Celtics. Doesn't matter who's playing. Could be it could be that damn leprechaun, and they seem to find ways to lose. But yeah, it's a weird story, and yeah, it does seem like for whatever reason, drama just circulates around this organization. Ultimately, when I saw the story come out, thought, that's weird. But my big takeaway was, doesn't matter. Like, he's still injured.
Yes.
They still need him.
He's still
not playing.
Yes.
Whether or not something happened and he made it up, whether or not he forgot which street, I don't know. It doesn't take away from the fact that they lost a pretty good basketball player and they need him back because last night was pretty obvious.
You think they needed him last night, Pat? I agree.
But real quick on the basketball end of it, like you're getting to, Pat, it does matter in the fact that if he lied to his teammates, if he lied to the organization, if it comes out that he lied to police, whatever, is there some kind of discipline that comes that keeps him from playing on this basketball team?
Well, being lied to, they should be used to that because some of these guys live through, Bar Patoni and collars.
Yeah.
He still won't say that he
collars.
He still won't say that was his burner account.
But you know what I mean? Like that's,
I do.
And I was talking to somebody last night in the know, and they were kind of like, man, Nick Nurse came in here, not kind of like, they were exactly like, Nick Nurse came in here to coach a basketball team. He gets hit with the James Harden crap. That seems to get resolved. 10 games in, team's playing really well, and then he gets hit with this. Like, is this what he signed up for? And then he has to go out and try to coach a game against the Celtics team last night that was shorthanded. But, my God, Pat is so right. They're almost the Washington Commanders. They are what the Washington Commanders are to the Eagles, except they win. And it doesn't matter who they put out there. Their style of play just always seems to be conducive to beating the Sixers. You're missing Jaylen Brown last night, Kristaps Porzingis, and you allow, and I'm going to say allow because it shouldn't have happened. They left him open way too many times. But you allow Al Horford to be the guy that really kills you last night. That's ridiculous. And I understand tired legs. I understand all that. There's rhyme and reason and many of them to what happened last night. But, God, it just happened, and Pat put it perfectly earlier this morning. It just happened in such a Boston Celtics versus Sixers way.
I can't play the second-guess game on Joel Embiid about whether he should have played Tuesday night, taken that night off, and then played Wednesday, because I'm one of those people who says, come on, I need you to play. You're the MVP. Get out there and play. So I can't be with somebody saying, yeah, like I can't be the guy that says today he should have taken off Tuesday when healthy and played on Wednesday. But in hindsight, 2020, Bob, as somebody who has not taken my stance, would you believe that? Because you talked about it yesterday. If you maybe it would have been better off, especially the way Indiana plays, if he took off Tuesday night and then played Wednesday night.
Yeah, I would have understood it on Tuesday. I really would have with the way Indiana goes up and down the floor, and you had an exhausting game with them on Sunday, and then you come right back at it on Tuesday, knowing you have Boston on Wednesday. I think I probably would have made it a Mo Bamba and Paul Reed kind of night where somehow you two share 48 minutes at the center position, and we just go with it and see what's what. I am not a proponent of resting guys. I'm all for, hey, it's the NBA. You're getting paid to play 82 games. Go play 82 games. I am. But if you look at a big picture, and if you needed that win against the Celtics for further ramifications, whether it be playoff tiebreakers, whatever, I would have taken a good hard look at it, yeah.
And so, Pat, let's get back to last night a little bit again because you seem a little passionate about it, which I can understand because I'm flipping between Sixers-Flyers, and 2 minutes into the second period, the Flyers were up 3-0 at Carolina, which shocked me. By the way, Pat, betting number for you. The Flyers' 3 wins that they've had in this 3-game win streak, the underdog quotient of them, it's the best since 2020 for any team. 3 games, add up their underdog quotient, their point spread heading into the game. That is the best in 3 years in the NHL.
So you're saying when they're underdogs, put a little money on them.
Yeah. So I don't know why. I said last night I did. I had $4.17, I believe.
Congrats on your success.
So I did. But I literally tune off the Flyers game to concentrate on the Sixers. Then I immediately get tired watching the Sixers because they were boring me. They were like, and so I went into the bedroom and then put on, as I tried to nap off before going to bed, I put on Tom McGinnis and listened on the 97.5 The Fanatic.
Yeah,
it seemed boring.
It's frustrating. I was texting our buddy Devon about this, and it seems like every time the Sixers play the Celtics, it is that Geico commercial where the guy has the dollar on the fishing hook, and you're sitting there grabbing the dollar, and he gets zipped away real quick, and he goes, "Oh, you got to be quicker than that," because the Celtics make you believe that you have a chance to win the game, right? It'll be like fourth quarter, and the Sixers will pull it within 1. And it's been a back-and-forth contest. They've never really been out of it, but they'll pull it within 1. And then there'll be 1 mistake or 2 mistakes. And next thing you know, everybody in the Celtics turns into Larry Bird, and they're blocking everything, and they're hitting every three-pointer alive, and somehow they end up pulling out a 10-point lead. And it doesn't matter who they throw in there. As I said, they could throw the damn mascot in there, but that guy all of a sudden will start draining threes. And it's the most frustrating game to watch is a Sixers-Celtics game as a Sixers fan because the Celtics just own us. There's no other way to put it. They just own us.
I had so much fun, though, watching last week, Bob. I mean, I had fun watching them play them last week, and I had great hope. Last night just is like the overreaction to 2 losses in a row, though, honestly, and that's the first thing I said to Bob this morning, is pissing me off.
Where did you get overreaction from? You went to bed at 10 o'clock or whatever. You got here at 5 in the morning. Who do you talk to between 10 and 5?
Do you read? You don't read social media. I
do read social media. I know everything that's going on. I don't see people. I see people saying Embiid's got to be better.
Right, exactly. Like people are jumping on Embiid.
It's overreaction. Well, he didn't play well against Al Horford.
Okay, but wait a minute though. Don't you? Here's what I don't understand. Embiid did not play well last night. Let's be honest. And I don't think Maxey played well.
He didn't.
No.
But I mean, to me, I'm saying. Can we take a full body of work into account? If they took 12 shows of, 16 shows of us, 17 shows, said, yeah, Bob, you were great in 7 of them. You were good in 7 of them. And there were a couple you really didn't bring your best stuff. It's like, come on.
But
I mean, seriously.
But if you're looking at it like that, then the competition, let's say in those 12 shows, 8 of them, the competition was off. They were on vacation. And the 3 of them that they were on, Bob didn't show up. Now, last night, you could chalk it up to, okay, well, they were playing back-to-backs, and you guys talked about that.
Right.
But when you factor in that Boston's without Porzingis and Jaylen Brown,
I got you.
That kind of goes out the window.
Okay.
And it's frustrating because this was another litmus test that you look at. Look, they play the Hawks on Friday. No one really cares if you win or lose that game because it's the Hawks.
In-season tournament.
Is it an in-season
tournament?
Yeah,
it's an in-season tournament game.
I apologize.
You better let everybody know.
I apologize. I had no idea.
I knew that was coming.
I
was waiting for it. I knew that was coming.
Legitimately had no clue. Let me add that to the update.
Yes, exactly. In-season tournament game.
Yeah, but if you lose that, you win that, it's like, ho-hum. Doesn't really move the needle. And I think losing to Indiana didn't really move the needle. But, and Bob said it yesterday perfectly, the Sixers were kind of put behind the 8 ball because they had a back-to-back, and the second game of the back-to-back's Boston. So, last night when Doris Burke's saying, oh, this is a good win coming in Philly, and in my head immediately I go, what are you talking? You were off yesterday. But then, on the flip side, I go, yeah, but they're without their 2 starters.
Well, one thing that ESPN failed to keep pointing out, and they pointed out numerous times, that Porzingis and Jaylen Brown were out. I mean, it started almost every one of their sentences. Did they forget that the Sixers were missing Batum and Oubre also? I mean, it was mentioned because it has to be mentioned, but if they mentioned one more time about how the Celtics were missing two of their players, well, so were the Sixers. And the Sixers are playing their third game in 4 nights.
Do you think that the Sixers' losses were significantly less talented than the Celtics' losses? The Celtics players they were missing more important? Is that fair? I mean, they seem.
Well, yeah. Are those players better than the Sixers players? Yes. But it's more of a thing than that. It's how does your team play without those players? Is Maxey and Embiid better when Nick Batum is in the lineup and Kelly Oubre is in the lineup? Yeah. It's different things. I'm not saying
right.
Apples equal apples, but I just thought it funny that they can. And I loved it. You guys know how much I love Doris Burke, but I just couldn't believe they kept riding that last night and not saying also that the Sixers were missing two guys that are usually in the starting lineup for them too.
I think the reason why is because Nick Batum has been here for 17 hours.
Sure.
And Kelly Oubre hasn't been here much longer either. Then that's my only thing. Like with Kristaps Porzingis and Jaylen Brown, they're name guys. Nick Batum, yeah, you go, okay, it's Nick Batum, but it's not really moving that needle for a lot of NBA fans. If you see that Nick Batum's out and you're the opposition, you're not like, oh, thank God, all right, and you're doing fist pumps. I think maybe that's.
I think that's part of it.
Why?
Yeah, it's like to me, it's a bigger like who the Celtics were missing was bigger, but it is weird. I look at it as Pat. They're talking about a good win, and Bob was pointing out good win for the Celtics, and I watched the end of the video on it, and they're like, yeah, good win for the Celtics. I would say bad loss for the Sixers. More than good win for the Celtics. Bad loss for the Sixers. I'm surprised that wasn't their lead, because that's a game. You won the game that was the tougher game last week. You won that game.
Yeah.
But you had guys that you didn't have last night, but they were missing two really critical pieces.
Yeah. Yeah, they were. That's about even for me. I mean, the Sixers schedule is just horrible lately. I didn't like the Sixers at all going into yesterday, and that was obviously before I knew that they were missing Porzingis and Brown. But, it's just this schedule of 7 games in 11 days to start out the season
just
before
sucks.
you're in the 20. It's just, and I'm not making excuses. I don't care, but it is weird.
I think it sucks.
Yeah, and you can't plan on, they're playing a team that runs up and down the floor continuously, for 2 days and 3 nights, and then we're going to bring in your arch rival on a back-to-back. Like, the NBA doesn't look at it like that, obviously, but, that was a tough spot for the Sixers.
Well, I'd rather have them get like a stretch like this out of the way early in the season than
Good
late.
idea. Yeah, get it out. But I just hate that was the game last night. I was like, okay, they're going to win both home games against the Celtics. And now it's up to the Celtics to hold serve in the 2 remaining games. Just have that advantage in case they would be tied or anything. It would have been good. All right, we will move off the Sixers for a little bit because this word should not be used for the game on Monday night between the Eagles and the Chiefs. We'll get to it next. John Kincade Show, 97.5, The Fanatic. Look, the temperatures are dropping drastically, and then they're going to go up again for a couple days. Then they're going down, but guess what? They're going down, and they're going down for good. Next week's supposed to be frigid, like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, a really
Philadelphia.
John Kincade Show on 97.5 The Fanatic. The Kelly Oubre drama and the Sixers' loss to the Celtics opened up the show. But one interesting point that I had, Pat, last night from a NHL executive says 18 goals from Konechny and Atkinson in 16 games. It's as if the Flyers picked up two great free agents that are help boosting a young team and teaching them how to win. That's 18 goals already between Konechny and Atkinson.
I mean, Atkinson, I'm not so much surprised about. Konechny, kind of thought he plateaued a bit, but yeah, he's on a tear. I mean, 10 goals on the season.
That's fantastic.
Big. So, Atkinson's been in the past a 35-goal scorer, so
right.
Not surprised about that one. But
coming back from
being 10.
A year of complete inactivity, where most of the time he was in Columbus.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he only had 1 year here.
It was he was
productive, but
very productive. So that's good news there. I do want to get Neil in. Neil did want to speak on the Flyers here before we get to this word of the day, to use Tyrone's term for the Eagles game. How are you, Neil? Welcome in.
Good morning, gentlemen. And John, I hope you're feeling well.
I am doing my last chemo. Got the pump on right now, but it's going to be good. Feeling good.
Good luck, my friend.
Thank you, buddy. It's all good news.
I was thinking about you last night because the Flyer game in Raleigh, it was Fight for Cancer night, and it was kind of an emotional night with Eddie Olczyk. And,
right.
But
I saw Eddie Olczyk's speech on it too, and it really moved me, and I related.
Yeah, it was deep, man. It was really deep. It's so cool to hear Flyer talk. I understand what's going on with Oubre and the Birds and everything. Real quickly, I just want to make a point. The road trip started with a horrible loss in San Jose, worst team in the league. Then they came back and beat three really good teams.
Three huge upsets, by the way, on the betting line.
Exactly. And the one thing a lot of people didn't mention was that when they won in Anaheim and Los Angeles, they kind of had avenged earlier bad losses at Wells Fargo. And then to beat Carolina last night, I see them developing an identity already. The Flyers lead the league in first-period goal differential. And what they're doing is they're getting up on good teams and then relying on great goaltending. Carter Hart was phenomenal last night. I don't want them to trade him unless you get back at King's ransom. But then what they're doing, they're getting up 2-3 goals, and then they're checking the hell out of you.
That is what Torts wants, and appreciate it. That's what Torts wants. That's his style. And I love the fact that Danny Briere and Keith Jones have both made it clear on this airways, Pat. I think it's fair to say that Carter Hart's going nowhere. He's one of their.
He shouldn't go anywhere.
They consider him one of the cornerstones.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of this thing. So they don't.
They've only been begging for a goalie for 50 years. So once you get him, don't get rid of him.
They're not going to get rid of him. So I got a word you should not use for the Eagles game on Monday night. Now you're free to use any words that you want, but if you use this one, to me it just flat out sounds dumb. And I found it in 3 print reports in the last 2 days. Revenge. Eagles seek revenge on the Kansas City Chiefs. Revenge? There is absolutely nothing that can be accomplished by the Eagles on Monday night that makes up for the Super Bowl 57 loss. Nothing at all. Now, if they meet again in Vegas, and as the confetti falls, it's Patrick Mahomes this time shaking his head, walking off with a chance to win, and he loses it. That is revenge. Bob, you've been in the newspaper business, in the print business a long time before coming to this walk of life. And to me, it's one of the things is revenge is not on the line versus Kansas City Monday. Nothing about that. It'll be great to beat the Chiefs. And I think everything, if they win Monday night, I think everything is over in the NFC. It's done. They're 9-1. It's done. I do not see any way that they won't get to their 14, which would keep everybody pretty much else out. But revenge, come on now.
I might not be there for you, but it very well could be there for a lot of the players. Like Bradbury making that penalty in the last thing. Like he wants to win this game because he thinks maybe his play was a big factor in them not winning the Super Bowl. To Jalen Hurts, that fumble that happened, he might be like, you know what, I really want to beat these guys even more because if it wasn't for my fumble, perhaps we would have won that game. The defensive line that didn't get to Patrick Mahomes might want revenge to prove that they could beat the Kansas City offensive line on a field that isn't as slippery as Arizona's was. So to us, revenge? No, it's not going to bring back a Super Bowl. To the players, have revenge on their mind? Maybe. Self-motivation is one of the biggest thing in sports. Biggest thing in sports. How do you self-motivate yourself? Yeah, you're playing in front of 70,000 people, national audience, all that. Believe it or not, that kind of gets routine with professional athletes because you do it so many times. What is your self-motivation? That is, I talk.
What got you out of bed today?
But LeBron James talked about it all the time, and it's self-motivation. I want to beat myself. I want to get better myself. So yeah, to them maybe there is a fringe of revenge, but yeah, to us it doesn't matter. It's not going to bring back the Super Bowl or the win there. But maybe the players, maybe they've told reporters,
I
got a revenge thing.
Now, thankfully, I haven't read anything where Eagles players are talking about revenge. So I admire that. And that could come, sometimes there is a directive, right? Going into these big games. I've seen it before where a coach will say, we don't want to be talking about this, or we don't want to be giving them anything to talk about. I think the Eagles are on point as a team, as well as I've ever seen a team where the talking points seem very much all in line.
Yeah.
It's not, nobody's going rogue. Nobody's creating the crazy soundbite for the week. Under Nick Sirianni, it's been really calm. It's 3 seasons, and they've been really calm in that locker room as far as we're of one message, we're of one directive. And then I know that Jalen Hurts is a lot about that because that's sort of the Saban thing.
Yeah, the older players also. We
set
saw
the
video,
tone, right?
Yeah, we saw video back in '93 where Darren Dalton was going around the Phillies locker room and saying, "Hey, don't tee off with the media now. Keep it within us."
Right before,
go.
yes.
Yeah, so I'm sure there's a lot of that. Sirianni does have a little bit of loose lips more than anybody down there. So I think it's probably more among the players of, hey, just keep it within ourselves. We know what our goal is. We don't have to let everybody else know. Yeah, I'm sure it's been talked about.
Pat, would a win on Monday night make you feel better about the Super Bowl?
No, but I had
because that's the game we're talking about. There's no other revenge that we'd be talking about.
Yeah, I had the same reaction as you, John, when the topic got brought up of get the hell out of here with revenge. That's not gonna bring me a Lombardi. But
he makes good points.
I love what Bob brought to the table because it's something I hadn't thought of. If you don't think Hassan Reddick wants to finally get home and sack Patrick Mahomes, there's no doubt that this field conditions played a part. And I don't mean this as an Eagles fan who's bitter. But you had both teams that didn't record a sack. And I'm not counting Jalen Hurts running out of bounds 1 yard behind the line of scrimmage a sack. So you had both teams that failed to get home at the quarterback. The field played a part in that. And when the Eagles defense really relying heavily on the ability to get home, yeah, there probably is a level of all right, we gotta show them what's up. I don't think it's consuming them. I don't think it's Rocky sitting in a cabin in Belgrade, Russia, who's looking at a face of Drago every morning. But yeah, I think there probably is an uptick in motivation for this one. And honestly, there should be an uptick in motivation just because they're playing one of the best teams of football. I mean, they're 8-1, Chiefs are 7-2. There should be the motivation they need. But there's probably a little bit of added motivation for guys like Bradbury, guys like Reddick, and
we may not hear it, as Bob's pointing out. We may not hear it in the media.
I hope we don't hear it in the media.
Exactly. So do I. I'm proud of this team the way they handle that. I'm going to ask Bob a question here, though, because he's done this more than any one of us by tenfold. Do you think if the Chiefs lost the Super Bowl, they would have been complaining about the field conditions?
Because
the Eagles complained a lot. The Eagles complained a lot. That was a crutch. There was quite a few players that used it as an excuse. Not just
I looked at it differently.
Okay.
I thought they brought it up as a fact. Hey, the field wasn't good. I didn't think they said we would have won if the field was better. I thought they brought it up more factual. More and I had a keen eye to it like you did also. I thought it was more. Now, there might have been a couple guys that brought it up in a way that you construed.
Well, on podcasts and...
Yeah, but, it was a fact. That field was slippery.
But to Kansas City, do you think, if they lost the Super Bowl, do you think it would have been a major talking point?
I don't know. I can't pretend, even though the Kansas City defensive line or offensive lineman, that to a person that they would have complained. I don't know. But if they would have had something to say about it, it is factual. That field sucked.
That field sucked.
It did. I was impressed that at the time, and I'd have to go back really, but at the time I thought that the Eagles brought it up, but didn't so much bitch as to say, it didn't help that field was slippery. That That's factual. They had 70 sacks on the season. The fact that their outside rushers slipped and fell oftentimes at the same time, yeah, that's a fact to me. But I can't speak for the honest to God, I can't speak for the Chiefs because I haven't been watching what they say throughout their careers like we do.
Right,
with
exactly.
I think that's why it's been such a talking point with either the players or some of the fans, i.e., me.
Hi, Pat.
Is the fact that you had a team that did have that many sacks.
So you think the idea then is it affected the Eagles much more?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it became the talking point.
You had 70 sacks. Now, the second team was the Chiefs with 55. I mean, we're talking a massive difference right there of sack totals, and it did affect the Eagles, I think, more. Ultimately, though, they were done in by different things. I mean, the defensive breakdowns that they had, in the red zone screwed them over. A fumble screwed them over. But I do think that it would have been a different game had they been able to get home to Patrick Mahomes, who was battling, an injury to his ankle.
If you take me back,
you just can't convince me that the team that had 70 sacks all of a sudden forgot how to get to the quarterback.
If you take me back, though, to after the Super Bowl, to me, it was that it was the punt, the terrible punt coverage that gave the Chiefs first and goal, with 3.5 minutes to go, 3:50 to go in the game. And I looked back at. I didn't look at like to me the disappointment level. I really wasn't disappointed in any of the other Eagles. Individual. Like, I'm not going to get on Jalen Hurts, that fumble, and Devontae Smith articulated it, and Jalen Hurts articulated it. The fumble cost them the Super Bowl. Both of them said it, believe it. That fumble gave them a touchdown that they wouldn't have had. That cost them the game. That could be just a professional and Jalen Hurts falling on the sword, which makes me love Jalen Hurts even more, that he stands up there and he says it. But to me, Bob, I wasn't disappointed in the Eagles like that. The only thing that disappointed me was that punt and that punt return at the end, the bad punt coverage at the end. That, like, as far as disappointed me in an Eagle player, I didn't walk away. I was like, okay, we lost to a great team. It sucks. And we choked at the end on that one, on that bad play. We didn't handle it well. 12 different players, 11 different players didn't handle it well.
Well, in a high-scoring game, to give up a possession, that's disappointing. And that's what the fumble did. Kansas City might have gone down. Kansas City scored 38 points. So no matter where they got the ball in that punt, they might have gone down and scored anyway.
But the Eagles would have
You know what I'm saying? But the Eagles didn't have a chance to go and score in a game that they scored 35 because they fumbled the ball. The play disappointing? Yes. Was I disappointed in any players? I thought it was a great football game.
I thought it was one of the greatest games I ever watched.
It was the second best Super Bowl the Eagles ever played. The other one was like 5 years earlier. That's
because of the ending, right?
Well,
that game was wild.
Yeah,
the Patriots game was wild, too.
Yeah, that was one of the best Super Bowls I've ever watched, and it had nothing to do with the Eagles being the winners of it. I just thought it was a great Super Bowl. I loved how the refs swallowed their whistle and just let the teams play. But disappointment in that game? No, I thought it was a great game between two great teams, and the better team won because they played better in the second half.
I thought it was missed opportunity.
So do I.
Sure.
So do I.
You're going to look back and look at all the moments that you guys already laid out, but I kind of look at it like if you have this aerial passing attack that's unbelievable, and your running game is really good too, but your offense is led by this passing attack and this Air Coryell style, just bombing it down, and then you
good reference by you.
Thank you very much. I'm here all week, I think. But then all of a sudden you play a game, biggest game of the season, and it's raining and it's a monsoon, and you have to rely on the running game, and your passing attack is kind of taken away. That's what I looked at as the field with the sack situation, the field being slippery. Did it dictate the win or loss? We'll never know, but it took a huge element away from the Birds. That was one of the reasons why they got there.
Certainly did. I mean, there's no question.
I mean, their sacks are the reason you could make the case that they even got to the Super Bowl in the first place with the NFC Championship game. Like, their ability to get to the quarterback knocks Brock Purdy out of the game. Then it knocks Josh Johnson out of the game. They were a formidable defense, and they were literally knocking quarterbacks out of games.
I can't wait for the December 3rd game.
Yeah,
I can't wait till the 49ers come back in, because it's weird is that as much as I didn't like Eagles players bringing up the field as talking about it afterwards, well, if we had a good field to play on, love to play that game again. I can't wait to see the 49ers come in a few weeks. Even though they're playing great football, the way the Eagles dominated that offensive line last year, and they're having offensive line issues this year. Brock Purdy on Sunday, he was running a lot, and he was making plays, Bob, with his feet. You watched a lot of that game, too. He was making a ton of games with his feet. He was being flushed out left, right, and he's running back like 10 yards, which to me is just against the Eagles. He's going to pay for that. He didn't pay for it the other day. He's going to pay for that if he starts doing that.
Yeah, he
starts
looked,
scrambling around like in
the
circles.
whole team looked really good in that game against Jacksonville. Is Jacksonville a fraud? Is Jacksonville what we thought or not what we thought? Whatever. I don't know. But San Francisco looked really good in that game, yeah. I've said before that I like when you go through a series of games where you're playing really good teams because what's it do? It brings your level of competition up. You know, I think you're going to have to be really up for these next 4 games, whatever it may be. And that's a good place to be. It's a good place to be going into December, getting ready for playoffs, knowing what it's all about. Now, the Eagles team does have something to rely on. They went to the Super Bowl last year. They know what it takes to get there. They can rely on that for these next few games, and we'll see if it translates.
Are you seeking revenge on Monday night? I mean, Bob makes up a great point. It's one of the reasons why we do not do the show before the show. I had no idea you were coming with that. And that does make sense, that there could be, just because I haven't read it, just because I haven't heard it, doesn't mean that for people in that locker room, Monday night means something to prove a point. Yeah. And the Eagles have much more to prove than the Kansas City Chiefs do. They've got rings. They've got more. The Eagles are the team that has something to prove. By the way, Detroit's already won there. Just another issue. They won opening night, banner night, ring night. They won. So it gives the Eagles maybe a little extra motivation to say, well, we can win too. So if you have a thought on that, you want to get in on that conversation about the revenge, you can at 610-632-0975. So that could make you a happy camper, as we say that. I can tell you this, the idea of Phillies pitching is going to be a big discussion that we're going to have coming up on the show. And it involves planning. It involves decision-making. And it involves what the plan is as far as who's going to be throwing the ball for them. We'll get to that coming up, too. John Kincade Show. Hope your Thursday morning is off to a great start. Game day comes your way at 8:30, so we'll have a little game time with Pat here on 97.5, The Fanatic. I would download the BetParks app right now if I was you, because they're the official winning partner.
A Beasley Media Group station. Official home of the Sixers, Flyers, Union, and the best Eagles talk in Philadelphia. 97.5 The Fanatic. Now, back to the John Kincade Show on 97.5 The Fanatic, Philadelphia.
John Kincade Show on 97.5 The Fanatic, our 7 a.m. hour, brought to you by the all-new Bet Parks app. Sportsbook and casino in one sleek, easy-to-use app in Pennsylvania and New Jersey. I was checking in, just a few. The threads from our own Connor Thomas last night. Sam from England's threads. One of our fine listeners from across the globe. That the bitching and complaining that went on last night about Joel Embiid. Look, I understand it. It was ugly. It was an ugly night. But you won 8 in a row. For God's sakes. It's freaking November.
Well, I think
the Eagles aren't even Eagles are in the halfway point of the season.
Look, for me, it's not so much about the timing or the win streak and all that. That's great. For me, it's about the opponent. If it was Milwaukee, I wouldn't have this reaction.
They muster up an anxiety and an aggravation like no other team in maybe all of sports for Philadelphia, except maybe the Cowboys.
Even though the Sixers took them to Game 7, it just feels like you can't beat that team. And
you just did a week ago.
That series, even that Game 7 series, perfectly sums up what I'm talking about, where the Celtics will lead you along and let you think you have a chance, and the next thing you know, they're loosey with the football pulling it away. It seems like that is how Sixers-Celtics go. They own us.
If they hadn't just beaten them a week ago at full strength, both teams at full strength, I could totally get into this and agree with you. Yes, it's very frustrating.
I need to see it again.
I got you. It's
very
frustrating.
One game I go, it could be a fluke. 2 games you go, now you got my attention. Now you might be real. I'm not even caring that Chris Stapps and Jaylen Brown are out. I'm like, oh, okay, you beat the Celtics twice. But the fact that you lost, and you lost the way you did, with Boston neutralizing your best players, Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid both have 20. The best player in the court last night, you could make the case, was Jaden Springer. And that speaks volumes.
Bob makes a great case, though. There is and the whole idea of there is a PTSD with the Celtics. And it's not only for us, it's with a lot of teams in the NBA. But here it's more personal. But if I hadn't seen last week, look, come with the same energy you came with last week when they went out there and beat them head-to-head and played a really, really good game. You got to look at both. I can't look at stuff out of, and just forget what I saw last week and just obsess on what I saw this week.
You got to have reaction. That's our job.
No, reaction's fine.
The Celtics, they bring out that emotion in teams, and Pat's exactly right. I don't get more frustrated with anything than I do seeing those green uniforms run up and down the floor.
I know you hate it like I do.
In all of sports, nothing frustrates me more than the Celtics coming in and beating the Sixers. And you just know how it's going to happen. They're going to hit key threes. They're going to make backdoor plays. They're going to have some nobody come in and either hit threes or block shots by Joel Embiid. Al Horford kind of owning Joel Embiid throughout the years is odd. Embiid was a minus 25 last night, which is ridiculous. Boston came in here. They had 2 games in the span of a week. Their goal was probably, okay, if it comes down to it at the end of the year and head-to-head competition, we got to take one of these 2. And boom, they did it.
I like, though, what you said, though, but I will say is that people like the fans, we know how it's going to happen. It didn't happen that way last week when both teams were at full strength. It didn't happen that way. I saw a Sixers team that gave me great faith that maybe Nick Nurse, if he had the last 4.5 minutes of Game 6 last year, the plan might have been better. And I'm not trying to throw it. I'm not throwing it on Doc because his 2 high-paid stars didn't show up. They literally just were anonymous when it mattered the most. But maybe the plan would have been different. Maybe there would have been something else that Nick Nurse could have drawn up.
Maybe,
I don't know.
But again, it's the Celtics beating you in another way, and we can go back and do what ifs or perhaps and all of that stuff.
Sure,
they're still the nemesis, and they still find ways to beat you. And the Sixers beat them last week, but it was also a game, moral victory for Boston. Sixers averaging, besides that Boston game, 123 points a game. First Boston game, they scored 106. Last night they scored 107. Boston has something on these Sixers. They just do. And we've seen it through the years. We've felt it through the years sitting in the city every year, just watching the Celtics. They do. They just have this thing over the Sixers, I think.
I wonder, too, how much is it going to matter to the players that have been there? You can't really beat this team. Like, you have...
like a mental wall or something?
Yeah, so what I mean by it is, like, when I was growing up, when the Sixers finally started to get good with AI, they couldn't beat Indiana.
Yeah.
Like, it was this hurdle that they just could not get over. And then in 2001, first round, they're matched up against Indiana, and they found a way to lose the game one. And it was a best of 5. And then they rattled off, the next couple games. It was like, all right, the monkey's off the back. For the Sixers, I feel like they need to win the season series and then beat that team in the playoffs to get that monkey off their back and get the mental block, knocked down. I mean, because at this point, I feel like it's a Berlin Wall, and not just the player, or not just the fans, but possibly the players' minds as well. I mean, we wake up and we're thinking about it. Like, you didn't have Jaylen Brown and Kristaps, and you got neutralized.
I guarantee you there's going to be a game the Sixers win this year where they sit out Embiid, where they maybe rest somebody else, and they go out and they beat a team that we never expected them to beat. It happens. I mean, like to me, it happens. But what I like about, Pat, your attitude is you will sometimes I shouldn't say overreact because that poisons the
I'm
drink.
a very reactive
But you're a very
person.
reactive fan. But the thing is, a day or two later, you'll look at it in proper perspective where there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of vitriol on Embiid today all over the Twitter app. There's just people that are I don't know. I've been really pleased with what I've seen out of Joel Embiid this year.
Yeah, but
I've
he
been
didn't
really
play good
pleased.
last night.
He didn't.
Yeah,
but nobody.
that's
okay,
what we do.
Where's the Maxey talk? Maxey was, I would tell you, was every bit as anonymous.
Yeah, he didn't
and
play
against
well last
Boston
night either.
and against Boston, Tyrese never does. He never seems to be able to turn it on against Boston. They seem to be his nemesis. And honestly, you want to win a playoff series, you want to win in May, Tyrese Maxey has to be a guy now that, by the way, is your number 2 option. He's the number 2 guy. He has to step up. And I mean, it's just, am I giving up on Tyrese Maxey? Hell no.
I don't think people are giving up on Joel Embiid either because they're complaining about last night.
Well, the vitriol on him is same old Embiid. I'm reading right on. Just go off negative tweets about the Sixers last night. It's easy to find. They're all, and it seems like Embiid was taking all the
Doesn't
bullets.
mean those people are right, John. You don't have to read everything and think people are right. There could be some idiots out there saying, "Oh, Embiid's never going to win a champion," or "Embiid's not going to do this," or whatever. Okay, that's their opinion. It doesn't make it factual.
Okay, I don't.
They're also reacting.
I'm not making them idiots, though. Either I'm not going to call them idiots.
As somebody who's,
because they have a different opinion than mine.
As someone who's reacted in the moment, plenty of times, they're reacting in the moment. That's why, like, when the Eagles lose, I will never look at my mentions. I will usually hop off social media.
Well, you've learned
it's
the
just
view,
going to
too.
be, yeah. Like anything you put out after an Eagles loss, you're going to be met with vitriol, and it's just because people are angry, they're upset.
And the Eagles are an event, and that's why it happens because it's only 17 times a year, not including
you
playoffs.
wait so long for
But the Celtics game with the Sixers is an event.
Exactly.
It is. It's a football game. It is that 4 times a year. It is for people that have a history in this city and that have sat here for 25, 30, 35 years and watched how the Celtics Sixers usually plays out. It has created a frustration that is equal to a 17-game season of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Because you're just like, oh gosh, I've seen the movie before.
Yeah, I think
I don't know the storyline, but I know the ending.
I think the reaction is very similar to Billy Madison breaking up with his girlfriend.
Okay,
Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore.
Most fans think
You
that.
had it.
Happy
You had it
Gilmore
right
breaking
until
up
then.
with his girlfriend, where he's yelling at her through the intercom because she won't let him in, and then he comes back, 2 seconds later and goes, I'm really sorry about that. I didn't mean that. Like, you're everything to me. Like, that's the reaction of Philadelphia sports fans. It's okay. You just piss us off, and we're ready to give it to you, and we're angry as hell. But then, a second later, we realize, no, we really need you and we love you.
Pat, that's kind of insight that.
Yeah,
really look for from you.
It's obvious. It's the obvious Philly sports Billy Madison tie-in.
You could
He's
probably
Happy Gilmore. It's Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore, dude.
It's Happy
You could
Gilmore.
probably relate any Adam Sandler movie to a series of something in life.
Or the Sixers.
You just can because that's how deep he goes in his movies.
It's very deep.
I like his movies.
Very deep. I do.
So do I. I love him to death. I think he's
his movies
phenomenal.
are the stupidest. Just sit there, laugh, kick back, don't put any.
Let me tell you,
thought in it.
Hubie Halloween.
Oh my! I did not see it.
Didn't expect a
Didn't
lot,
see it.
but it was pretty funny.
Is that the Scream takeoff?
Yeah, kind of.
Or is it all of them?
It was I saw it like when it came out, so I saw it a year ago. But I remember sitting going, "This is gonna be terrible," and I was like, "Wow, I'm actually pleasantly surprised by this movie."
Guys like him and Kevin James and stuff like that, they just sit back and look at life and say, "I got you." I mean, they're just good, normal dudes who found a little niche in life, a pretty big niche, and turned it into being very, very successful. And you got to respect them.
Okay, I got Dave Dombrowski saying something that really, really bothers me. The Phillies are once again going to do closer by committee. And it doesn't look like Josh Hader, according to Baseball Insiders, is truly in their plans. So what Dave Dombrowski and the Phillies are telling me is we're going to triple down on a system that was a major contributor to us not closing out the deal in 2022 and 23. I don't get it. Having a ninth inning guy, having an eighth inning guy, having a seventh inning guy, it's a formula. And it's a formula that tends to work in Major League Baseball for great teams. But the idea that, no, we want a guy who can be a closer, but he can pitch in the sixth, he can pitch in the seventh, pick in the eighth. They're tripling down on a system that hasn't worked for them for 2 consecutive years, and it's cost them at critical times. I don't get it. I do not understand the logic in saying, oh, no, we're fine here. That system works. No, you have a system that is broken. And it cost you potentially a ring and maybe a chance at a ring last year. I don't understand the thought process. And I really do like Dave like I hit the thing by the that was me. Dave Dombrowski, I trust that he's a good baseball mind. But obviously the manager likes this shuffleboard with the bullpen that I don't think is it's not a winning strategy. It hasn't worked here. Not unless you tell me I'm getting people that I've got new arms and these arms are going to be the ones that counts. The arms get burned out by June, and then they struggle down the stretch, and then it costs them in October.
I look at it two ways. Do they have somebody that can close a game on this staff right now? Yeah, they probably have more than a couple. If Sir Anthony's pitching well, he's one. Alvarado's one. Last year they got really good innings from oh my God, who's the big right-hander? What's his face? I'm forgetting his name. Pat.
Jeff Hoffman?
Yeah, Hoffman. They got
was
good innings
fantastic
from Hoffman last year. So maybe his thinking is, we have somebody in-house. We just haven't decided who it is. My other thought is, and I've had this all along, and I know nobody agrees with me, and Ricky and I have gone back and forth, but I think closer's the most overrated position in sports pretty much.
You argued this with Ricky.
And I just, you're a major league pitcher. To get to the major leagues, you have to have some stuff. To tell a guy, all right, I need you to go out and get 3 outs. 3 outs with a lead. To me, that should be pretty, not that hard. Go out and get 3 outs and don't give up more than a run.
Well, today...
Okay, I think you should be able to find somebody to do it. Now, maybe the kid is somebody that Kirkering is somebody that they really like to be their closer also, but they don't want to put that on him right now.
That's logical.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't take anybody at their word, like a GM or a president or whatever. I really don't take them at their word months out before a season starts.
I just
never have, never will.
I know how Thompson does things. So, I mean, I've seen the data that tells me this is what he does. I don't see him becoming a traditional bullpen management guy. And that may be wrong. Maybe I'm assuming that on Rob Thompson, and he'll surprise me. He'll come up with some, this year we're going to do things more traditionally. We're going to do things like best practices are in Major League Baseball. We're not going to just decide, like one thing. Bob, you'll be working the morning show tomorrow. Then you're going to work best show ever on Friday. Then Monday you're going to do middays. Then we're going to have you do, work at night with Connor. I mean, people like to know what their role is. And it's something that I don't think Rob Thompson has done well with.
I think especially in baseball. Yeah, for sure.
Well, Ricky always says it.
Yeah.
Bullpen guys want to know their role.
I mean, I think baseball in general is the biggest creature of habit sport, on the planet. Where
Has
guys,
to be, right?
Yeah, guys really do want to know their role. I agree with you, Bob. I think it's the most overrated position in baseball.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I think.
I didn't know you did.
Oh, absolutely. I think I agree with Billy Beane in Moneyball, because he kind of brought that along of like, there's a closer in every bullpen. Paying top dollar for closers is kind of foolish. Now, if they went out and got Josh Hader, I wouldn't I wouldn't be like pissed off about it. When they got Papelbon, that was ridiculous because the window.
You thought at the time the window wasn't there.
Yeah, and you're like, you're getting a closer. What's the point? And they give up a first-round pick to do it. In this situation, I'd have no problem with it. But I do think that every bullpen has one guy who is closing material, and that's probably why the legendary closers, Kimbrel being one of them, they don't really last long. I mean, most of the time as a closer, you're probably 3 years in the job, and then you
move somewhere
you kind
else.
of flame out. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the fact that Jonathan Papelbon is the franchise leader in saves, he was here for like 3 years. So that kind of speaks to what Bob's talking about with the overratedness of the position. But what I don't like, though, is not being able to identify the guy and keep him in that role. And that's what I did like last year where, after like May, they were like, okay, Kimbrel's the guy.
Well, Pat, tomorrow you may be hosting, you may be running the board, you may be doing this. So just show up tomorrow and we'll decide. And by the way, we're going to decide at 5:59.
I hate that.
I hate it too. In any walk of life,
I don't like
any walk of life, people wouldn't like it.
I don't like working with you two, Jagaloons, but I do like the fact that I know what I'm getting.
Yes, I mean, we might at 5:59 tomorrow. We'll tell you what you're doing. You may be hosting, you may be producing, you may be running the board.
Down to Lehigh Valley.
You could be.
I got a hot sports station.
I don't get it.
It may be something you have to get used to. Maybe this is a change in baseball that's coming about, that there is no prescribed, you are the closer, you are the ninth inning guy, because things have changed dramatically. Bullpen games, a zero starter, all of those things are changing. And starters aren't going more than 6 innings, and that's different. So maybe it is a type of, all right, come ninth inning, I see they're going with 3 lefties. I'm going to go with my lefty reliever as opposed to a guy that you've labeled closer. Maybe this is going to become the norm. I don't know. But if it wins you games, I'm all for it. Like I said before, the closer thing, I don't. Yeah, you're delegating one guy to do one thing. If you're a 60-win team, you're going to call on him, 30 times a year? Here's
one to your point, Bob. Emmanuel Clace of the Guardians was the number 1 save guy in baseball last year.
He is very good.
Amazing. 44 saves. They made the playoffs. But here are the rest. Bednar from the Pirates, 39 saves. Duvall from the Giants, 39 saves. Diaz from the Reds, 37 saves. None of those guys in the playoffs.
Well,
yes,
like the next 3 of the next 4.
No, think about the teams that you're talking about, though. You're right. They're none of them in the playoffs. Most of those teams are in safe situations.
That is the truth. That is a great point.
The Phillies, with their offense, there were plenty of games, I'm sure, if you look at the schedule, that they weren't in safe situations because they've blown the team out.
That's a great point, Pat.
Usually when I'm doing fantasy baseball, I will look for a closer on a bad team because I'm like, well, look, they might only get 2 in a week, but when that team's winning, they're going to rely on that guy. So it's kind of like kickers.
Right.
For me, I never look at a kicker on a good team. I always look at a kicker on like a possible playoff team, mediocre playoff team, because good enough to get in the red zone, not good enough to score.
Well, then we go to the 5th team. Romano from the Blue Jays,
Jordan
36.
Romano. Yeah.
Williams from the Brewers, 36. Batista from the Orioles, 33. Hader from the Padres, 33. Iglesias of the Braves, 33. Presley of the Astros, 31. So a big group of playoff teams there. So a couple not, but a big group of playoff teams where guys have 13, 14. I don't know that they're in safe situations more than the Phillies. Like, these are some really good teams.
But you figure if they're winning, they probably are in non-safe situations more than they're in those situations. I would think.
I would think so too.
You think if a team gets 100 wins, that their closer's going to have more chances than a team with 70?
I'm saying they're.
But they win a lot easily.
The team is blowing out, other teams. So seeing 33 saves, it's okay. Is it 33 saves in 60 chances, or is it 33 saves in 37 chances? As opposed to, the other guy who's got, 40 saves, but, his team really only was in safe situations 45 times this season, 50 times. I think the worst teams are probably in safe situations a little bit more, ironically enough.
And if Rob Thompson decides to go this way, it goes like against the non-urgency thing. I mean, if he's not anointing a closer, it's because, okay, 7th inning here, they have 3 lefties coming up. I'm going to Alvarado. I'm going to try to win this game. That's the urgency that he's showing by not saying, I got to save him in case we're up a run in the 9th inning. I think that's kind of where maybe his urgency comes through.
He lost one of those games in Arizona because he went to his best arms early and had no arms late.
But he also won a bunch of games for going that way also in the playoffs. A bunch of games.
I don't remember the bullpen management being great this year.
Well, I mean, you had the game
postseason.
against the Braves.
Yeah.
where,
That was a great one.
The Ranger Suarez game where
That was that
all of us
3?
are, I don't know what
Game 3. I think it was game 4.
It might have been game 1.
He's won more
he was
playoff
one.
games over the last 2 years than any other team in baseball.
So they don't hang.
Did they have a ring?
Don't hang a banger for that.
Did we go to a?
I'm
Did we
not
go to
saying
a? Did we
that.
go
I
to a
didn't-
parade?
I
I don't
didn't say
care about
that.
that number.
I
that
do.
number doesn't keep me warm at night.
I want you to win come playoff time, and
Xfinity
I want you to
and
win when you're
everybody
up.
else.
When you're up 3-2 coming home, I want you to win.
no question about it.
Why don't you want them to win, Bob?
I don't feel that number. That number, Bob. It's weird. You're looking at like that's a good number. That number pisses me off.
Well, I think
That number just goes wasted opportunity.
You
You're
could,
up 2-1
you could
in the
sit home
World.
after the first round. Then
You're up 2-1 in the World Series, or you're up 3-2 in
look,
the
I don't
NLCS.
like that they didn't win, but facts are facts. Like you can disagree with the way he manages and all that stuff. He took a team that no one expected to go to the World Series 2
Last
years
year.
ago. Came within a game of getting there again this year. Does it suck they didn't get there or win? Absolutely. But he's doing something to get them there. So,
Oh, no question. No,
Yeah,
you're not saying it wrong.
Look at
Yeah.
it like the guy that many people think is the best manager in Philly sports history, and that's Charlie Manuel. Okay, so 07, he gets them to the playoffs. You could make the case that the only reason they got to the playoffs was because the Mets choked,
And they were young.
and they were young. Yeah, but they get to the playoffs, they break the streak. Great. 08, he wins a championship. You could make the case that 09, 10, and 11, those teams were way better than 08.
I think
So
they
you
were
flip
all.
it.
I think they were all better than 08.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So flip it, right?
Right.
So let's just
Good
pretend
point,
that
Pat.
they didn't win in 08, but let's pretend they won in 11 instead. We would have been having the same conversation about Charlie Manuel that we're having with Rob Thompson, where, yeah, he's been successful.
We would
but
have been calling
they
him
haven't
Andy
won.
Reid.
Yeah, they haven't won yet.
Right.
But because they won in 08, it leaves a lot of people with a good feeling about Charlie Manuel because everything after that, it's the success. And you're right, it's the Andy Reid thing. Like, a lot of people don't like Andy Reid because they never won. I look at Andy Reid as the most successful
I love him.
coach in history and had my childhood be great. But I think to Bob's point and the stat, while I've been frustrated by how Rob Thompson's handled the pitching staff and the lineup, it gives you a little credence of like maybe he is onto something and maybe he does know what he's doing and maybe one day it will all click and it will work because up until this point it's worked until obviously it hasn't, but winning a championship's hard.
Bob says he's been looking at the Chiefs' defense, and it may or may not be giving him his own level of agita. We'll talk about that next as we get ready for Chiefs and the Eagles on Monday night, and you guys will have pregame out Monday night.
Yeah,
which
Trap
is going to be
Tavern.
great.
Yep, out near Collegeville, Trap Tavern. It's going to be awesome. Really cool place. We're there from 6 to 8. Me, Pat, and Andrew Salchunas. Thank you to Corona having us out there. So it's going to be a good time if you're out that way. Come on out. Check it out.
What is it about the Chiefs' defense that caught Bob's eye? We'll find out next. John Kincade Show on 97.5 The Fanatic. Look. Kate Show, your chance to win a trip to spring training coming up at 8 o'clock. We're in the last 2 days of this, by the way. And if you haven't registered yet for your other chance to be a qualifier randomly at 975thefanatic.com, just go do that. And, Bob, I wanted to verify to people, too, because people were a little confused when I say I listen to the Sixers on the app. I go to the Sixers app, and on the Sixers app on the main page, it says Listen Live 97.5 The Fanatic, and you hit it that way. Local stations that have the rights are not allowed to do that in the NBA. But through the team on their websites can give you access to the local audio, and I grab it that way. So go to, I made the mistake earlier saying about the app. I didn't clarify. It's the Sixers app that links you directly to 975thefanatic.com, and you can hear Tom McGinnis entertain you, opine, which I think is some of the funniest stuff that Tom does. Because when he's displeased with the refs or he doesn't like an opposing player's act, I sort of figure it out. I can sort of figure
hard.
it out. But
he's not subtle.
But he does it. Yeah, but he does it in a way that's like, please. It just really gets it. It really gets it going. So much fun. So much fun. Bob, you had an eye on the Kansas City Chiefs defense. And all week long, we talked from the very thing. You're like, I can't shake this. I'm having a great feeling about this game. And I said, man, he has a better feeling about this game than I do. I have a good feeling. But you say there's something about the Chiefs' defense that at least made you sit up and take notice.
Yeah, well, they're really good against the pass. I think they're third overall in the NFL against the pass. The Sixers are missing a big target this week in Dallas Goedert. It's going to be the first time that they're going through a full game without him, game planning, all of those things. Does it worry you? Does it make you think that, okay, well, then some of the backup tight ends are going to have to get targets? Because if it's over, if they put the line at 2.5 for targets for Eagles tight ends, I don't think I'd touch
under.
it. Yeah.
I think I'd go under.
So it's got to concern you. But does it put more into focus Devontae Smith? Does it say more of, you got to get him the ball somehow? There has to be 10 to 12 targets to him. He has to be a vital part of this game. Or is it more of a, well, yeah, the tight ends are going to get 4 targets. We're going to throw the ball maybe to the running backs a little bit more and keep the game plan of I don't want to say force-feeding A.J. Brown because that makes it sound like you don't have a plan. You're just, throwing it to him. But do you think this offense changes much in the pass game against a really good pass defense without Dallas Goedert?
Yes.
How so?
Because I think they're going to I think what I know about Andy Reid is he has that Bill Belichick type approach in that when and I think you're going to see the same thing with Spags, they're going to take away what you do. Your number one thing you want to do, they're going to make you uncomfortable. And I've seen Spags in interviews. I've seen Bill Belichick talk about it, that the idea is make someone uncomfortable. If they're really comfortable doing something, the first thing you can do to them is make them uncomfortable and have them go to their plan B, plan C, and prove that they can be successful with that. Plan B for the Eagles on offense has to be Devontae Smith.
Yeah, it's the common phrase now. If you talk to managers, coaches, assistant coaches, it's head of the snake. Everything is head of the snake. Take away the head of the snake. Head of the snake for the Eagles is obviously A.J. Brown. Does Steve Spagnuolo look to take that away solely as he doubled over the top? Does he put his best young corner on A.J. Brown the whole game? I don't know. Maybe. I still say I don't know if we're going to see a difference in the passing game. I still am very confident in the Eagles to win this game. I think it's the running game. All day long, I think the running game for the Eagles, should they win this game, is going to be the difference. Now, I want them to go more to Devontae Smith. I want, like I said all along, 10 to 12 targets between the two of them, absolutely every time. I want to see, at the end of the game, 10 to 12 targets to both A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. But I think this one's going to come down to a running game. I really do. I think you're going to have to rely on DeAndre Swift. I think you're going to see a mixture of Gainwell, obviously, but I think maybe Boston Scott will get in there. I think we're going to get a heavy dosage of running.
Do you feel good about the chances of success of that?
Do I feel good about the success of that?
Yes.
Yeah,
that plan
I do.
That plan that you're saying, because what I've seen is now they're getting Cam Jurgens back. And Cam Jurgens' departure coincidentally seems to, where he's been out, has tied directly to where they weren't successful running the football.
Yeah, last 4 games, they've had one game over 100 yards rushing. I saw something, I think it was first 5 games, DeAndre Swift averaged like 4 point something a carry, and then the last 4 or 5, it's been like 3.1. I don't think they've concentrated on it enough. And it's okay. They're 8-1, we know, and they're scoring points and everything. But I think this is a week that you have to concentrate on something specifically on offense. It isn't A.J. Brown. I think it's the running game. But my point being about the passing game, I don't think we're going to see much difference in the approach to the passing game on Monday night. I don't. Dallas Goedert,
so you think they're going to say, we primarily target A.J. Brown, and we're going to do it, and we're going to do it, and we're going to do it? So you stop us?
I do. I just do. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see a huge difference in the passing game come Monday night.
Yeah, Pat, are you of the belief of that? I'm hoping that the Eagles have some sort of a twist. And by the way, the running game that Bob brings up, I would love for that to be the twist. I would love to be more reliant on the running game.
And my gut reaction is it probably won't change too much. I think we in the city view Dallas Goedert as a bigger threat than he probably is. Like, this is a guy who goes for like 35 yards, 40 yards a game. That's it. But it's the idea that he can go off for 100, which is the threat in and of itself, is the fact that he's capable of doing it. You're pretty sure that Jack Stoll ain't it, right? You're pretty sure like a Grant Calcaterra mix, isn't it? So you basically just took away the threat of the tight end position, just giving you anything. But yeah, ultimately, I don't think that the passing game really ends up being affected too much, where we look back and we go, oh man, they lost that game because they didn't have Dallas Goedert. But I do think that the running game probably plays a giant part, because I think the Eagles were going to view this game as to try to play keep away against the Kansas City Chiefs.
Save possessions. Again,
yeah.
I think if they don't get above 10 possessions, if 10.5, if you bet the under on possessions, 10.5, if the Eagles are 10 or below give the Chiefs 10 touches, maybe 9, they win this game. I think they're going to win the game.
Yeah, I think they're going to try to, and they've done this, the last 2 years. They've chewed up clock. They've had long sustained drives. It's very few times you'll see the Eagles just go 3 and out and punt. And a big part of that is the success of mixing in the run. I don't know if they do it more so this week than last, but the Cam Jurgens, coming back and being slided in the lineup there, that should help. They
average a ton more yards when he's in. And Cam Jurgens is a guy that, he's just he's stepped in. He's done well. I'm glad he's back, because it just adds to the depth too. Then if you do want to rotate in a guy, and they don't rotate a lot on the Eagles' offensive line.
No, it's only when an injury happens.
It's all until an injury happens. But it's nice to know you get a little more depth if he comes back.
Yeah.
Tommy Reardon asked this question on Twitter.
What's up, Tom?
He says, I haven't heard anything on Dallas Goedert.
He's hurt.
Is it surprising that he hasn't been put on AR?
IR?
IR. Could it not be as bad as we originally thought? Could he play with a cast in a week or two? Tommy, here's the only thing I'd say. And I looked at this yesterday. It's weird because I just happened to look at this yesterday because I was like, he's on IR, right? And he's not. But they can go retro at any time. So maybe they're watching him and talking about it and seeing how the pain is and seeing how it's a broken bone, though. But we don't know the severity of the break, too. How big the break was, how it might be smaller. Could be, a hairline more fractured. We don't know the details of the break, but they can go retro at any time and say, he's on the IR, and we're putting him on IR back to this date. So it really doesn't matter that we haven't heard anything until Sunday is when it matters. The day before they play their next game, just reading some things here, 24 hours out, I think they have to go one way or another.
Yeah, I told you yesterday, and yeah, guys out there listening and stuff, I am a nerd. I still do read the newspaper. I told you yesterday there was 13 pages in the sports section of the Daily News, and there wasn't one story about the Eagles. Today, there's another 13 pages in the Daily News, and the one story that is about the Eagles is a feature story about a guy from, I think, Scotland or Australia or somewhere that taught them the tush push.
Who's going on?
So it's the team wasn't available. They literally took off. I mean, they were off.
Yeah, but you can't write
Don't
stories about them.
You can write stories, but if you're not getting current information, you're not. What current story am I writing? Yeah, Dallas Goedert has a broken arm. Haven't heard anything more about it, but he still has a broken arm.
See, to me, if I'm the sports editor, I'm saying, what did the Eagles do last week? The coaches, they self-scouted. So let's have some articles where we're self-scouting the Eagles' first 9 games and talking about what they need to change for the next 8.
Maybe that's your career.
No, I don't want to.
Maybe that's it.
No, I'm not going to newspapers.
You know anybody, Bobby?
I'm not going to AOL. I'm not going to newspapers.
No, you don't want to go in the beeper business either?
No, I'm not going to beepers.
Yesterday, Tom McGinnis, jeez. Yesterday, Tim McManus was on with the best show ever, and he brought up a really good point when it comes to losing Goddard that we haven't discussed. So here's what Timmy had to say.
I'm not expecting a big spike in production out of any of those tight ends. There wasn't one last year, and there's no perfect solution in replacing Goddard. The one thing that is really great about him is that he can do both things really well. He can block and he can pass. And so it's never a tell when he's on the field as to what the offense may be doing, as opposed to Jack Stoll, not much of a pass catcher. Calcaterra, on the flip side of that, mainly a pass catcher. And Alberto, if he ends up getting a little bit more of a role, is traditionally more thought of as a pass catcher as well. I do think there's some concern about the tells that you'll be showing based on which tight end you have out there. And I'm not really expecting any of them to be like, coming up and having these massive games.
So that was like an angle that I hadn't even thought of you do kind of know. Grant Calcaterra, okay, he's not pass blocking. Jack Stoll is run blocking. But then you're taking a guy out that he does both.
Here's one where I would tell you is from watching his career in Atlanta, is Julio Jones can line up for snaps, not a ton of them, at that tight end position. He is a marvelous blocker, always has been. So, but I wonder if that would be a tell, Bob. If you lined Julio up at tight end, I guarantee you that the Kansas City Chiefs know, boy, he's an excellent blocker, so is this a run play? Is he in there to block in the running game, but he's lined up as a tight end to make us think that they're going to throw him the football? Like, I wonder if there's any tell with that where they're like, look, you're not going to target Julio Jones more than 3 or 4 times in a game. Maybe.
Well, maybe he takes over some of those targets from that tight end spot. Maybe he does not only have his from the slot position, but at the tight end position, take over Dallas Goedert's targets there.
He's a great blocker.
We talk about Brian Johnson a lot. You took away one of his biggest assets on the offensive side of the ball. What is he going to do to counter it? It's going to be something that you really have to watch, and it'll be very telling about Brian Johnson. It's
going to be an interesting watch. So the Blake Snell, somebody who the Phillies are potentially interested in, got 28 first-place votes and won the Cy Young Award. He didn't get anything but a first or a second-place vote. It was dominating. 204 points for him in the voting. Logan Webb of San Francisco finished second.
Yeah, he had a great year.
Zach Gallen of Arizona finished third. Spencer Strider finished fourth. I think Spencer had as good a year as any of those guys, those 3 there, and more. And where he's in fourth. Zach Wheeler finished sixth. He got 4 third-place votes, 5 fourth-place votes, 6 fifth-place votes. And Aaron Nola didn't get a sniff. I remember people were talking about that later in the year, like Aaron Nola you got to look at his numbers, but his ERA not good.
Yeah, I didn't get that logic of Aaron Nola and a Cy Young.
Not with the ERA either.
He led the league in giving up home runs.
That kills you right there.
You don't win Cy Youngs doing that.
People were getting excited at the end of the year with that. It didn't see it, but it does sort of tell you, Bobby, that the year Wheeler is just Pat. You've said it may be one of the best free agent signings ever
in terms of value. They got
amazing.
It's going to be up there with Harper, I think. Getting Harper for $25 million per. I remember when he signed that contract, I was like, "You got to be kidding me!" I mean, in 3 years, this guy's going to be a steal, and sure enough, he is. But looking at the gamble that they did with Wheeler, a guy that when they signed him to a $100 million contract, it was based off of splits, and the return on investment they've gotten has been incredible. I mean, for $20 million, he's pitched like a $40 million pitcher. And that's not an over-exaggeration. You look at some of the contracts that are being handed out to some of these upper-level pitchers, and he's been that and then some. So Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens after this year because he's going into free agency next year. I would imagine the Phillies don't want to let him go, but he's definitely going to want to raise, that's for sure. I mean, he's not going to want to be getting paid $20 million anymore, and he's warranted quite a substantial raise.
Do you believe at any time we're going to be doing the story where Bryce Harper wants a raise?
I've already seen it. I haven't seen that he wants one.
The organization
rework it. Yeah,
I
don't think he'll come out and say it.
I mean, it's so rare in baseball that guys hold out. Like, I'm actually trying to think about the last guy that held out.
Well, I don't think you'd ever see that storyline from him.
No, and that's just baseball in general. You know, I mean, baseball seems like the one sport where they don't do it. They have opt-outs for that reason. They'll put the opt-outs in their contracts, and then they can rework it. But guys don't just go, you know, it's not like the NFL, oh, okay, I signed this deal, and then I want to rework it. And that's because the deals are incredible. Like, they're guaranteed contracts.
Here's what I would say.
Other leagues don't have guaranteed contracts.
Here's what I'm saying to Harper. If the two camps, hey, we want to give you more money, we're going to rework the deal. We're going to take the last year off the deal and spread that money out any way you want.
I don't think so.
That's what I'd say. But that's what I would say. I'd go, look.
If you were Harper or you were the Phillies?
We'll give you, if I'm the Phillies, I'd say we'll give you the last year of the deal in cash this year.
Why would you want to do that, though?
Because the last year of the deal is that Bryce Harper's not going to be Bryce Harper.
Yeah, but Bryce Harper at the last year of his deal is getting $25 million when at that point
it's going to be such a bargain.
The fourth outfielder might be getting $25 million.
No, but I would say
it's such a bargain that whatever he's giving you at that point will still probably be more than what most $25 million or players at that point are giving you.
I would just want the last year off.
I would not.
Really?
No. And
you think he's going to be a big name free agent at what, 40?
It doesn't matter.
39,
it doesn't
40?
matter if he is. He's $25 million when at that point, you know, the best player is probably getting $55 million per season.
But if his camp maybe wants more money now.
So when he signed the contract, if you remember, he said, one of the reasons I'm not going for this, you know, substantial amount of money is because I don't want to hamstring. Have
the organization be hamstrung.
Thank you. I don't want them just tied up with one salary, a la the Texas Rangers when they signed A-Rod. You know, they signed A-Rod years ago to that massive contract. They had no money to actually build a team around him. So I don't think that he would want that. I think he's comfortable with the $330 million and, you know, the money he gets from endorsements. I don't think he's hurting for it, and he doesn't seem like the kind of guy that would want that. But even though if I was the Phillies, I wouldn't offer it. There's no enticement to me to get out of the last year of his contract because I think, especially this season, like he played half the year. He won a Silver Slugger award.
It's amazing.
It's unbelievable.
Do you think
it'll probably extend his career, by the way, the DH first base thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think it would be bad blood if they offered something like that? Like, I mean, because you don't want Harper. Harper loves them. They love Harper. So
I don't even think this is a thought in their head now. I don't think it's, I don't. I think there's so much more that they have to take care of that. When is this contract done? In 2030?
I think he's 40?
13 years, and that was, 4 or 5 years ago?
Are you thinking about the last year of a contract now?
I can't think about that.
I don't know. I know. And like Pat said so correctly, that Harper did say he doesn't want to hamstring this team. I don't even know if this is something that he's thought about.
It's going to be a interesting watch as the Phillies offseason will get heated up here a little bit more. Coming up, the Sixers' loss had a lot of different factors last night. Bob's going to hit on a few of them with us next. John Kincade Show on 97.5 The Fanatic. I would download the BetParks.
Media Group Station. Official home of the Sixers, Flyers, Union, and the best Eagles talk in Philadelphia. 97.5 The Fanatic. Now, back to the John Kincade Show on 97.5 The Fanatic, Philadelphia.
So damn proud.
Thanks for hanging out with us on this nice looking Thursday morning. It's nice out there. We're going to get warmer for a few days, and then
Beautiful.
Cecily was saying it's going to get chilly. It is going to get chilly. So be ready for it. We'll be looking forward to it. Thanksgiving week. Thanksgiving 1 week away. 1 week away. So if you got how are you traveling with all the stuff for a Thanksgiving meal? That was the question from yesterday. How do you travel like that? Do you have like big coolers? How do you go about that?
Well, a lot of the stuff we're pre-making, so it's frozen.
Okay.
So, we'll probably just cover it and take it down, on ice, some coolers and stuff like that. We're packing very lightly because we're just going to be around family the whole time.
Which is fun. Casual is
great.
good.
Yeah, so I do keep saying to my wife, this is going to be tight. Let's, we got to be cautious of that, but, I'm falling on kind of deaf ears, so.
It's going to be a lot of fun, though.
Yeah, I can't wait.
You love Thanksgiving more than
my
any holiday,
favorite
right?
holiday, bar none. I loved Christmas when the kids were little and watching their faces and the joy of just sitting back and being a parent and watching kids so excited was phenomenal. But if I'm going to be selfish, I love Thanksgiving the best just because I love everybody. We always host. I love everybody being at my house, and I just love the day.
All right. So Jason Kelsey and Travis Kelsey on their podcast talked about opening up Christmas presents before Christmas.
What?
One Christmas they found where the parents stashed the presents.
Okay.
And I guess like the whole thing was like their dad would work like a second job to be able to afford presents for them, and they found out where the presents were, and they opened it up, and they realized they were getting an Xbox. And
did their mom kill them for that?
Christmas morning,
right?
They opened up the Xbox. They had to fake the celebration, and it was pretty obvious to the parents because while they're great football players, they're not good actors. That they already knew, and their dad was like distraught.
I'd be
not
pissed
distraught,
about that.
but like very annoyed. And they said they never did it again. Did you? It seems like you guys, by your reaction, that never happened to you, where you found presents early and decided to open them up.
One time, I saw my parents bringing something into the house, and that's what I knew what I was getting. That gift.
What was it?
It was a thing called the Dingalings. They were robots that like rode on tracks.
Okay.
That you could create tracks, and they were like robots that moved and. Also, I think they were called dingalings, dingalings, I think, robots.
So
I saw the box come into the house, and my dad tried to hustle, and he was hustling, bringing in a box, but I'm nosy, so but I never let on. Never let on.
They never found out.
No, they never found out. And Betty can't hear me now. Well, she can, but she can't do anything about it now.
What about Bobby? Anything?
Nah, I didn't. Nah, we
never
didn't.
went snooping?
Because we really didn't get presents. I mean, I know I sound like, oh, Bob, poor Bob. We got poems. Like my dad would write us poems to say of something that they were going to get us at a future time.
Okay.
Rarely did it come to fruition, but my dad was a really good writer. So, no, I didn't really look.
I wish I could go back in time and like give you a childhood.
No, I loved my childhood,
but
it just wasn't
didn't have
the childhood that, we didn't. We just didn't have a lot. It was, when I was a little kid, like I was a mistake. My parents didn't have me till they were 46, and my brothers and sisters were grown. My brother and sisters were all grown up. So I always got the, wish we could get you something, but, we're paying for your sister's colleges or this or that. And then grandkids came along, and it was, man, we wish we could get you something, but it's more about the grandkids. Which was fine. It's just what, that's just how I grew up. I'm not looking for sympathy or anything.
I mean this in all sincerity. It's impressive how you have a positive disposition on the world.
Yeah.
Because I'd be bitter about that.
I don't.
That's
honest. I just know myself. I know myself. I'd be walking around mad at the world, and you always come in here with a smile on your face, and you glass, half full and sun's always shining and like.
I didn't know
it's
any
impressive.
different. I don't think. I say that when we went through the pandemic, not to get crazy on things, and people would come to me and say, God, I feel so bad for your daughter. She's not going to get to go to her prom and this and that. And I said, I'm not being harsh here, but we know what a prom is because we've been to them. She doesn't. So she's not missing something that
she
she
hadn't
never
heard it from the
experienced.
kids in front of her?
Yeah, but I mean, that's just the way I look at things.
Okay.
And I'm not being cold or anything like that. Yeah, I want her to enjoy and all of our kids to enjoy the greatness of life and all that. But you don't know what you don't have.
Yeah.
And
Is that why
I just didn't. I do remember, I'm kid you not, in 7th grade, coming home from a girls' basketball game, they played in the afternoon, we played at night in grammar school. Coming home after the girls' game to get something to eat before I went and played, my parents had a basketball wrapped up in wrapping paper.
Okay.
It's the first time I ever remember getting a birthday gift.
How obvious was it that it was a basketball?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was
Well,
pretty
what did Bob
obvious.
want?
Man, I wonder what that
I
could
remember
be.
saying, I think it's a slice of pizza or something, like
Yeah.
kidding around. But you just didn't know what you didn't have.
Is that
and
why
it was
you
okay.
enjoyed Christmas so much? Because you just mentioned how you really like Christmas, watching the kids open up presents?
It could be. It could be
So
because
much
we're
fun.
lucky enough to be able to give them stuff. But it's just the way it was. And like I said, I'm not looking for sympathy or anything like that. And my brother and sisters, they laughed at me when I tell them the stories. And, they oh, you're embellishing. And then through the years, they're like, oh, my God, you're not. Like, my brother and sisters, they didn't know that I paid for my own high school until a few years, maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah, but back then it was 2 bits.
No,
was
it was
so long ago, Bobby.
$148 a month. I'll never forget.
48.
How did you afford that?
$148 a month?
$148 and 48
Dude, I
cents.
mowed lawn-
Yeah, but he mowed lawns all summer.
I couldn't afford that back in 07.
And you make fun of my friendships with Rock and stuff like that. So Rock was the guy that handed out the betting slips in the hallways to the teachers, to everybody.
Wait, he was Damone?
Yeah. So Rock always had a couple dollars in his pocket. When he saw me in the Treasury Department, wherever it was, at the window and digging in my pockets and coming up, he would always stop, watch, and wait, and then just throw a 10 down and walk away.
Oh, here you
if
go.
I
I
was
just
sure.
sold some unwinning Fire
that's-
tickets.
Yeah, you wonder why. You build these friendships.
lifelong friendships.
There it
No,
is. There, yeah.
I love
dude,
that
no,
story.
I give you crap about it, but I love it.
I love the Rock story. That is a great. I like
Without-
Rock already,
not,
but I
not
really
even wouldn't say a word.
I like
Would
Mrs.
stand
Rock
there,
a little better.
would stand there, and if sister, I think her name was Teresa or whatever, be like, yeah, you're $12 short. Boom, boom, boom. Throw it down, just walk away. Wouldn't say a word.
And then did Sister Teresa hand in her slip for the weekend?
No, then she'd hand me the receipt, and I had to hand the receipt to my parents to prove that I got it
Have you
paid.
since paid Rock back?
In love.
Did he put
In love and
love,
and
yeah.
affection.
All of a sudden he comes back and he goes, "Hey Bob, 40 years ago I lent you like $12 to pay tuition. Can I get that back?"
I love that story.
Yeah, that's an awesome
And you've
story,
never
man.
told that story.
It just was what it was.
I said I like
You know.
Mrs. Rock a little better.
Oh, she's
But Rock's
phenomenal.
great.
Andrea's listening to us right now. She
Is
listens every morning.
Mrs.
Yeah.
Rock is my favorite Rock.
Oh, yeah, she's
She's absolutely awesome.
She's a
Let's
rock.
see if you can get to spring training.
97.5 The Fanatic. Win a free trip or 2 to Spring Training 2024.
Hey, the 15th caller right now to the Fanatic contest line. By the way, we're going to delay a little bit this morning because we had some people saying yesterday they watch on YouTube or they're listening on the Odyssey app, and there is a delay. So we're going to delay a little bit. Brendan's going to delay answering the calls, but keep getting in line because you never know when he's going to pick it up. Probably in around 2 minutes is the guess. The 15th caller to the Fanatic contest line at 215-263-0975 is going to win a $25 Rally House gift card, and they will be entered to win a trip for 2 to spring training. It's sponsored by Rally House. It's your city. It's your house. It's your Rally House. Get on in and check it out. PhillySportsTrips.com, where you travel with the pros, and boy, do they do a great job. And, of course, 97.5 The Fanatic. Your next chance is to win noon with Andrew Salchunas, 4 p.m. on the best show ever. And you can enter for another chance to win at 97.5thefanatic.com, but you got to go do it. You got to get yourself registered. Do it now. And we appreciate everybody who's getting involved. And hopefully somebody's going to have a really good, fun time down at spring training. I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about them having a good time. I am, though, a little bit concerned. Bob, you think it's pretty predictable that the Sixers lost last night in a way that it was simple of why they didn't win. What was simple about it other than the fact that you had guys not performing to a high level?
Well, why didn't they perform to a high level? 3 games in 4 nights. It's not excuses. I look at games as factual. Why did this happen? Or maybe why did that happen? 3 games in 4 nights, 2 track meets 2 nights before. Boston is just a smart team. They're a smart, good team. And look at your defensive matchups. You got Drew Holiday on Tyrese Maxey. Drew Holiday is a phenomenal defender.
He really is.
He can muscle you. Drew Holiday is one of the. I used to talk to him about this. He's one of the strongest upper body point guards that I've ever been around. He is just.
That's high
physical.
praise.
Yeah, he is, and this was back when he was young. He's grown and gotten stronger since then, but he's always had that tough upper body strength as a point guard, not only offensively but defensively also. So you have him on Maxey. Al Horford, for some unknown reason, and it's weird. And, I've seen it. I've seen guys that shouldn't be able to defend other guys do it for some odd reason. He's got Joel Embiid's number. He just has it.
He does.
He's got a great strip thing. Like when Embiid, I always was taught, and I did it, and I like to tell people, watch the ball if you're covering somebody. Somehow, someplace, they have to get the ball from their hip to over their head to shoot the ball. That's a great window right there to try to get your hand on the ball.
Swat it.
So Embiid has an even bigger one because he's a bigger person. He loves bringing it from his hip up, and Horford is great at getting his hand on the ball, even if it's not swiping it. It might just be deflecting it, might just be touching it. He does a great job against Joel Embiid. So there it is, 1-2. You're taking their 2 best scorers.
Is that from where to being teammates? You observe film study.
Getting
teammates.
used to playing against somebody? Absolutely. Knowing where they come from the ball, from their hip up to that shooting position, you know the path. You can get your hand in there even better. It was just a recipe. Even though Porzingis and Brown were out, Boston's always going to play you tough A. B, their 2 best defenders now are playing against your 2 best players, and they match up really well against them. I just think that's the simple reason the Sixers had a loss kind of lined up in them last night.
Pat, you sort of think, though, it was interesting, and you brought it up in our notes. Do you ever think about a do-over in the Al Horford trade?
Yeah.
And I swear it, last night I said it twice, because I watched Al's career in Atlanta, and then I watch him in Philadelphia, and it looked like he was the sleeper cell to destroy them. And then he goes elsewhere, and he's the Al Horford that people have come to know.
So when Al Horford signed here, I liked the move personally. I saw what Elton Brand was trying to do. He was trying to, it was a pace and space game with guards, and he was going back to the old school way of doing things. And if it works, I mean, every team in the league copies it.
Okay.
And if it doesn't work, then you're looked at as an idiot. And for that 1 year in Philly, it didn't work with Al Horford, and we know what happened. It just, I stick to it. There was one coach in Al Horford's entire career that couldn't get Al Horford to be any good, and that was Brett Brown, which was impressive. But after that 1 year, they moved on from him. And I wanted to see Al Horford under a different coach. I wanted to see what he possibly could have done under Doc. I think you would have seen a more Al Horford-esque performance under Doc Rivers than you got out of Brett Brown. I think you would have seen what we saw last night from Al Horford. But ultimately, it doesn't happen. And they ended up trading him on draft night with Vasily Micic and Theo Maldon. And
look at the big brain on Pat.
Yeah, I mean, Micic finally came over this year.
We had a caller yesterday on the afternoon show saying they got to get him.
Yeah, he was the big piece, and he was like the €1 stash that the Sixers had that ended up kind of amounting to anything. But what they ended up getting was their 2025 first-round pick back, Danny Green, and then like 2 role players that never amounted to much. So you basically got Danny Green and your first-round pick back in 2025. I probably would want to do over in that.
But do you think that, okay, here's what I wonder about that, though, is does the equation that Pat's talking about, Bob, mean Doc Rivers would have found a way to – I guarantee you Doc Rivers would have found a better way to use Al Horford than he was used here.
It's my biggest, and Pat knows this, at the time.
Not to cut you off, I'm sorry. I got the trade wrong. I just looked it up. It was Micic, Maldon, and a 2025 first-round pick to Oklahoma City for Danny Green and 2 role players.
Okay.
So it was really like a salary dump.
They didn't get a draft pick back at all.
They didn't get a draft pick back. So the trade's even worse than I thought. But go ahead, Bob. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Well, you know it, Pat. We were on When was the Horford trade? Was I still covering it?
No, you weren't. It was
Okay.
2020 because it was
yeah.
it was right after the pandemic.
So we talked about it on air endlessly, and I did talk to Elton Brand about it. I understood the reasoning behind it. I have no idea why it didn't work. And people can say, oh, Al Horford did nothing here and all that. That was a great trade in my book. I would have loved to have seen used properly Horford and Embiid together. And I said it endlessly. I said it during that season that what are they doing? I didn't understand it. You know, Elton Brand had a great line to me one time when I asked him when they were doing the big thing with like Okafor and Noel and Embiid. And he says, you go to Kyle's games all the time, right? My son Kyle, him and Kyle had a good relationship. He's like, you go to Kyle's basketball games a lot, right? I said, yeah. He goes, what do the parents do first thing? What's the first thing parents do when the other team walks into the gym? They see how big they are.
Yep.
He goes, why would that change in the NBA? Bigger teams, the better. So that was his thinking throughout that process, and probably with bringing Al Horford in here. Why they couldn't figure out how to use those two together is one of my biggest
conundrums.
Yeah, I just couldn't. I just saw Al Horford standing high-low with Embiid. I saw him out on a corner hitting shots. He's a really good passer. He's a smart player. It still bothers me to this day that didn't work.
Here's what you need, though, is if you're going to win, you need your second guy to be great some nights. Joel Embiid taking all the bullets today, but it appears that Steve is going to bring up something I did earlier on in the show and expound on it. Steve, good morning. You're on the Fanatic. Thank you for holding, buddy.
Hey, good. How y'all doing?
No problem, man.
Listen, I think, for this team to get to the next level, I mean, I understand, Bob, yesterday you mentioned that, well, okay, we don't need to make any kind of major trades. We just need to get a couple, ancillary pieces from the bench. But the way this team is set up, in order for this team to get further, Maxi's going to have to at least be a 25 to 30-point scorer. And ever since the 50-point game, he hasn't been that. And, that concerns me a little bit.
Wasn't that one game ago?
No, because the Indiana game.
Oh, yeah, the second night. Yeah, the Indiana second game. I didn't have any problem with him in the Indiana second game. Did you?
I didn't think he played that great of a game. How many points did he score? 18 or something? And he didn't shoot a good percentage.
Wasn't a good one. I mean, look, I think you're making a great point, Steve, though, and it's something that, Bob, I don't think you disagree with that at all, is that if you're going to count on Maxey to be your number two, they need a consistent number that they can pencil in every night.
Yeah,
that they can assume.
It's still a growing process, and what he just said was, and I know it got talked about on the afternoon show yesterday that, people around here just think they need little pieces and not a star. That's not what I said. What I said was I had a long conversation with a couple of people down at the Sixers game. The wonder is there pieces to be gotten that, and I said yesterday, you have a couple guys starting that probably shouldn't be starters now. I'd rather see DeAnthony Melton be coming off the bench, a Kyle Oubre, or an Oubre coming off the bench, Kelly Oubre, probably Nick Batum. If you get two good enough starters to plug in there, they don't have to be maybe star players, but good enough pieces that you can relegate those guys to being big pieces off the bench. Maybe that's the way you can look at things also, because there is a factor, and I told you, I was lending it to the conversations I had. There is a factor in here that Tobias, Tyrese Maxey, and Embiid are playing really good basketball right now. Does bringing in a star player take something away from that? It was just a conversation. I didn't cement
and you didn't
and say
this is it.
Just bring in two little pieces and you'll be fine. I never, ever said anything about little.
I think you said that.
No, he did not.
Pieces.
You know
I think if you check the tape, you said it.
Now, the one thing I would say is this, that with the assets that he's got, he could bring in a star and bring in pieces.
Yeah.
Right? If he wanted to leverage them all, but I'm not sure that's exactly what they want to do. But
And I also said yesterday, look, give me the best players you can find. I'll make it work. I said that all the time.
Yes, you did.
I don't care about, I'm not a fit guy. I'm not all that guy about, he stands out on the three-point line too much, so he can't do that. I'll make it work. It's why it still pisses me off about Al Horford. I don't understand how they couldn't make that work.
I think Dantes joins us. Hi, buddy.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good, man. What's going on?
I'm doing well. Yeah, I just wanted to check in with you guys and just ask the question. Is there any correlation, in your opinion, between us going 1-2 in the last 3 games and Kelly Oubre Jr. being out?
Well, those points being missing absolutely is a problem. I mean, and Bob's pointed this out. Bob, immediately after the Oubre injury, Bob, you came in and you talked about it. It was a big concern for you, just depth-wise.
Yeah, Dantes, if you look at the 2 games that they haven't had Oubre, just say the last 2 games, they had no points off of the bench in the last game against Indiana. Last night they had 19, and 9 of them or 10 of them came from Jaden Springer, who's usually not even in your lineup. So the depth thing does concern me with this team.
It sure does concern me as well. I mean, we were looking pretty solid there when he was in the lineup. We had 2 against Indiana back-to-back. And, Maxey had to score 50, and Embiid had to score 35 in order for us to beat them that first game. So, yeah, I think there is definitely, correlation between the two. And, most importantly, I just hope we don't make moves to go get a superstar and mess up the flow of the offense, or just mess things up. I think we're on a good path here, even though we lost, last
I like your attitude, Dantes. I like it. I'm not freaked out at all by losing the 2 in a row. Not after 8 in a row. Because if you said to me the Sixers are going to win 8 out of 10, I'd sign up for it every day of the week.
Sure.
Oh, they're going to win 8 out of 10? I'm fine. They're going to lose 2 games, though, John, and they're not going to look good in either one of them. I'm fine. They won 8 out of 10. I'm fine.
Yeah, I mean, the frustrating thing is what we
game.
said. It's Boston,
Yes.
and it's Al Horford putting Joel Embiid at a minus 25 for the night. That can't happen. You can't allow that to happen, and it did, and he just has this fix over Joel Embiid. He plays him really well, and that's where the frustration lies.
We have the Tullamore Dew, which we love, and as my wife has said, if I don't stop doing the jingle in the house, Bob, maybe outdoor, I'll be sleeping on the beautiful outdoor paradise because I do find that jingle, that Tullamore Dew, very, very fun. Travis Konechny and Cam Atkinson of your Flyers, 18 goals between them. And the reemergence of Sean Couturier. How about Owen Tippett, who people were griping about being involved in that deal when they dealt away Claude Giroux? He's coming around. He's showing it. The Flyers playing some good hockey, winning 3 upset games in a row, and with one of the highest betting margins that we've seen since 2020 for a team 3 times in a row pulling the upsets. Things are looking better, and they always look better when you enjoy these cool nights with a Tullamore Dew Irish whiskey, the original triple distilled, triple blended, and triple cask matured Irish whiskey. Because when it's game time, it's Tully time. I'm telling you this. We have game time at 8:30, so you know that. But also, too, we're going to make sure that we talk about something that I believe Jalen Hurts can do something huge on Monday night. And I'll tell you what it is next. John Kincade Show here on 97.5 The Fanatic. I'm going to tell you right now, if you are getting ready for the cold weather and you think your HVAC system's about to crap out on you, call my guys at DelcoHVAC.com. In fact, right now, you can visit Delco HVAC.
Now, back to the John Kincade Show on 97.5 The Fanatic, Philadelphia.
John Kincade Show continues here on 97.5 The Fanatic. You are just 8 minutes away from game time. I've frozen the lines, though, Pat, to make sure nobody gets an unfair advantage. Just sit on hold for 10 minutes to get to play game time.
Yeah, not up in here.
No, we're going to make sure Brennan Gunn's on top of these things, man. He is really, really on top of it.
The original BG.
And great prizes, by the way. Life-changing?
Yeah, like you could say that.
Okay. So I can say that. I'm not going to get sued.
No, I mean, results are going to vary
Depends
with that.
what kind of life you have.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
If we give you tickets and you go and you sit next to somebody and you end up striking up a conversation and becoming best friends with that person, boom, your life just changed thanks to the Fanatic.
Seven guys already saying, is there a Blue Chew gift pack being asked? But you got to call a doctor for that.
Yeah, well, I mean,
that. They make you talk to a doctor.
Promo code Fanatic.
Yeah, the gift pack is on BlueChew.com, and you just enter promo code Fanatic, and there's your gift. It's for a month for free.
I said, what could Jalen Hurts do Monday night in that game that would be huge? I think for the entire Eagles franchise, not only moving this team to 9-1, when I've already said I feel very good about it. The 9th win, if it comes against the Kansas City Chiefs, it's over in the NFC. Because the Eagles, there is no way that they won't get to 14 wins if they win the game there, because that is one of the hardest games remaining on their schedule. But I think what Jalen Hurts can do is honestly make the argument that he has raised himself to the top of the NFL quarterback class with Patrick Mahomes. I think Patrick Mahomes, and this is going to annoy people, because the other day I saw them debating the who's on the elite level, who's on the very good level, great level, who's on the next level. I believe if Jalen Hurts wins this game, he says, move over a little bit, Patrick. I'm right there with you. That Jalen Hurts raises himself to the top of the NFL class with Mahomes. Not above him. Not beating him once doesn't do that. But I believe Jalen, with his body of work and what he's accomplished, that would be a moment for Jalen Hurts to get the ultimate respect. Win a game at Arrowhead, where, by the way, you become one of the major reasons that you win the game. And if Jalen Hurts isn't one of the major reasons about the offense on Monday night, if he isn't one of the major guys that makes a huge impact, great passing game, scrambles and does some things, Bob, I don't see them winning this game without that. But I know Jalen's got it in him, because I watched that Super Bowl, and I said that's what made me fall in love. That was the game. That was the game that forever, I believe, Hurts is the guy.
He's the guy for here, yeah, no question about it. Does he put himself on Mahomes' level with a win on Monday night? I think that's a little bit of a stretch. I go to, what if Patrick Mahomes was running this football team?
Oh, he'd love these weapons.
Oh, my God. His
he'd
numbers
love these
would
weapons.
Be unbelievable. So, I kind of like to look at it that way. Patrick Mahomes is still on a level all by himself, I think, in the NFL. I don't think a win on Monday night, even if Jalen Hurts outplays him. Jalen Hurts could get outplayed by Patrick Mahomes, and Eagles could still win the game. A lot of people believe Jalen Hurts outplayed Mahomes in the Super Bowl.
I do. I really do.
So, yeah, I don't know if a game on Monday. We're talking about a guy that has a couple of championships, not just one.
Oh, yes.
A couple.
And he's been to others.
Yeah, he's got he's got a receiving core that is, to say below average, might even be complimentary. They're not a good receiving core. His running game changes all the time, and that's the way of the NFL, so you can't really. He's got a great tight end. The offensive line has been suspect at times. I can't go Jalen Hurts one game, puts him up there. A move over Patrick Mahomes?
Well, I don't know if it's one game, though, when it's like 30 games.
Well, if you're going to go that route, then you have to say Mahomes has multiple championships and multiple champion appearances.
So is he the only elite quarterback in the NFL?
He's the most elite.
No, but is he the only elite? Because I do think he's on a level above every other quarterback in the NFL as far as I could say that. I think that right now he's sitting on a perch. There's no way. You don't put Josh Allen there. You don't put Joe Burrow there.
No, he's the best quarterback in the NFL. If I say that, he's on a level by himself.
Jalen Hurts is, and there's no debate about it, right? That he's the best quarterback in the NFL.
I don't think so.
I don't think there is, Pat. There's no
I don't
debate.
think there's any debate.
And I think that puts him on a level. But the one thing is, like, people will go, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen. You can't. I mean, Josh Allen's like a drunken sailor out there. Looking the way he's throwing the ball. And Joe Burrow doesn't have the resume of what Jalen Hurts has done either. Jalen Hurts' resume is better than Joe Burrow's. So, I mean, like, it's not saying Joe's bad. Joe loses this game tonight in Baltimore, they're in trouble to even make the playoffs. They may not even. Imagine if I told you in August that two of the Eagles' biggest potential roadblocks, if they made it back to a Super Bowl, would be ready to be, like, we're not even really in the playoff picture at Thanksgiving. The Bills and the Bengals. Bob, I would have bet anything I owned that would have been, there's no chance that happens unless, and I put the caveat on it, unless they had suffered catastrophic injury and everything like that. They got Joe Burrow back, and they're still not themselves. And they scare me. That's a team that when they play well, they're a team that scares me.
Yeah, I mean, Burrow had the calf injury. It really affected him because you see how much better he's played since he got back from the bye week. Now they have T. Higgins out, so all the focus goes to Jamar Chase as far as their passing game goes. They're still a dangerous team. We talk endlessly about playing. What type of football are you playing now, week to week, or do you hit the slumps? Do you hit the highs and the lows? I think Cincinnati hit their low. Finishing out this season, we'll see how good their high is.
I mean, they lose tonight, though. They're 5-5.
Yeah.
And they have no chance to win the division because the Ravens would be 8-3 and beat them twice.
Yeah.
So the Ravens are home free from the Bengals, at least being a threat in their own division. And I don't see the Browns or the Steelers beating out the Ravens.
Would you, just hypothetical, would you take Joe Burrow on this team over Jalen Hurts?
No, I would not.
Pat, what about you?
I would not.
How about any other quarterback in the league besides Mahomes on this Eagles team? Do you think they'd be as successful?
Interesting. No, wait a minute. As successful? Like, are you talking stats, wins, everything?
Wins. Yeah, wins is all that matters.
Okay.
Wins. They got a pretty good team.
I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. I know Dak.
It's interesting.
Dak, the worst QB rating when trailing in the fourth quarter. Jalen Hurts, the best QB rating when trailing in the fourth quarter. That's all, like best passer rating. That's all I need to know. Dak's the worst. I thought about Dak. I actually thought about articulating it and saying Dak Prescott. I thought about Tua, not enough of a resume. I don't believe of that success. I thought about a Trevor Lawrence, and no, because I see Trevor Lawrence, to me, it's bad when he's 6-3 and I'm saying I'm disappointed. I thought he was going to be Peyton Manning. And I said so.
Yeah, the way I want you to look at it, though, is with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith catching passes.
I don't think that – I'm going to put it this way. I don't think Trevor Lawrence and Tua have the football IQ of Jalen Hurts.
Fair enough.
And Jalen Hurts' football IQ is what really wins me over. It's 8:30. You know what that means on Thursday. Pat time.
Hello, gentlemen. It is not... Yeah.
That's good. Okay, good. Thank you.
It is not Double Dare, but what we are going to play is a game. I wish we could do Double Dare. It's called Person, Place, and Thing. So I'm going to give you a person, a place. This is going to shock you guys. I'm going to give you a thing.
Okay, give us a thing.
And you just have to tell me who the person associated with it is. So it's, if I were to give you...
Now, are we answering this and they're guessing whether we got it right?
No, they're
guessing.
They're going to guess, and then if they need a little bit of help, you guys can bail them out. Try to make these kind of simple. To give you an example, if I gave you Bob Cooney, and then I gave you the place being Atlanta, and I gave you the thing being a microphone, you would probably guess John Kincade. So that's the idea of it.
But why Bob Cooney? Why would Bob?
Because he's your co-host.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah, so it's the person's
okay.
usually somebody associated
All
with
right, good. I like
the actual
this.
answer. 610-632-0975. That's the way to get in. Today's prizes, I promise life-changing ones. It's up for debate. A pair of tickets to go see the Flyers and Blue Jackets Sunday at the Wells Fargo Center. We have a pair of tickets to go see the Sixers and Cavs on Tuesday at the Wells Fargo Center. A 4-pack of tickets to Tinseltown Holiday Spectacular at FDR Park.
You've done that. I've done that. It's great.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's great.
Yeah, great for the kids. And a 4-pack of tickets to see Temple battling Memphis next Friday at noon, Lincoln Financial Field. So 610-632-0975. We'll start it out with John in the Northeast.
John, how are you, buddy?
Good morning, fellas.
Great to hear from you, bud.
All right, John. So you can choose whether or not you do want help, okay? But your person is Rich Paul. Your place is LSU. And your thing is not liking the sport of basketball. What's the answer?
It's scumbag. Ben Simmons.
Ben Simmons is correct.
I love it when you
yes.
throw in scumbag. You should get an extra prize.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
It's not happening.
Venom. I love Venom, though.
He's not getting an extra prize. What he is getting is a 4-pack of tickets to Tinseltown's Holiday Spectacular at
You're going to
FDR
love
Park.
this.
It'll bring you the holiday magic for every family this season, open tomorrow through New Year's Day. Plan your visit at tinseltownholiday.com. Yeah, it's a really, really cool thing.
Bob, have you done it? Has your family done it, the Tinseltown?
It's like a bunch of lights. It's
Where is it down at the?
So for the past couple of years, it's been at Oaks.
Oaks.
This year,
right.
it's at FDR. But it's just
we did a light show at the Wells Fargo Center. A couple of years ago,
so
which
if you
was really
like
cool.
if you like that, you're gonna love Tinseltown.
It's fun, and
if you're somebody that likes holiday lights, this is it.
Love
and if
holiday
you have
lights.
teenagers, I can promise you this: you'll think that mom and dad are dragging me somewhere. For the gram, this is a big hit.
Yeah, it is. They had all the local sports teams.
Yes.
So it's cool. I got pictures of like Jack in front of like the Eagles
That's awesome.
lights and yeah. All right, let's go to Mo in Warrington. Mo.
Say, Mo.
What's up, Mo?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Let's do it, buddy.
Mo, your person is Algie Crumpler. Your place is Canton, Ohio. Your thing is comic books. Who is it?
Oh, my God. Pat, I'm pretty sure you don't like me.
It's not that.
Pat,
No, I
do it
love
again.
We got you,
Do it
Mo,
again.
if you need help.
Algie Crumpler, Canton, Ohio, comic books. And if you need help, you can get one of the guys.
And Bob
I
might
got
be
it.
a good one to go to.
I got nothing. Bobby, help me out here.
How about number 20, Brian Dawkins?
Brian Dawkins is correct.
Yeah.
But since I don't like Mo, I'm not giving him anything. No, I'm kidding. You know what, Mo? I'm going to give you.
You always say that, by the way.
Because I do like you. I'm going to give you a pair of tickets to go see the Sixers and Cavs on Tuesday at Wells Fargo Center. To
By
purchase
the way,
tickets
that's the game.
for any 76ers game. Visit Ticketmaster.com/76ers.
That's the last in-season tournament game.
Oh, that's
I'm
it.
pumped.
So they play
Mo.
at Atlanta,
Mo, get excited.
and that will be the one. And if they would win at Atlanta, they should pretty much have a chance to clinch going to the next round if they win that game.
Mo, if you're still listening, bud, just get ready for the polls to be greased that day. All right, let's go to Richard in Mount Laurel.
Richard, what's going on today, brother?
Hey, good morning. Hey, I'm excited.
All right, Richard, your person is Shaq. Your place is the TNT Studios, and your thing is food. Who is it?
Oh my gosh.
Shaq, TNT Studios, and food.
Oh God,
Can I
don't call me.
No, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, I cheated there, but that's all right.
Bob, do you have any idea? Shaq,
it's
TNT Studios,
I'm drawing
food.
a blank.
I'll go spicy wings.
That's your guess?
What do you want me to say? He was
I
trying.
swear.
He
It's
was
a
eating
person.
wings.
No, it's a person.
Oh, it's a person.
They're all people. They're all people.
Oh,
here.
they're all people.
They're all people.
And so
the
it's-
answer, the
it's-
answer's
I'll
a person.
go Charles Barkley.
Thank you.
Okay, I was thinking it was. I got called
Spicy
off on that one
wings.
too.
All right, Richard, I apologize for my.
You were
for my
right, though,
people.
Bob.
I didn't know it was a person.
If they're all people. The answers are all people.
Obviously, our host isn't very good.
Oh, okay. All right, yeah. Blame me for it. You know what, Richard? You're going to end up winning a pair of tickets to go see the Flyers and Blue Jackets Sunday at Wells Fargo Center. Get tickets at PhiladelphiaFlyers.com. Yeah, blame me.
Bob throwing
Everybody else got it.
Throwing rocks.
Yeah,
at
let's
Pat
get
on this.
Richard. Let's get Rich in Levittown. Yeah, person's a
Oh
jackass.
wait, I'm sorry. Rich in
up, Rich?
Levittown. Hi, Rich.
Good morning, guys. How
What's
you
up,
doing?
buddy?
All right, Richard.
I'm good. How are you?
Good, man.
Your person is Daddy. Your place is Twitter. Your thing is big collars. Once again,
Come on.
Daddy, Twitter, big collars.
You know
What's
this
the
one.
answer? What's the answer?
Daddy, Twitter, big collar.
Bobby
Yeah.
may be able to help you with this one.
You know what? I'm gonna have to ask Bob to help
He's
me
been
out.
great with this.
How about Brian Colangelo?
Nailed it, yes. Get you a dad like Brian Colangelo. Nepotism's cool. You know what else is cool? For a pair of tickets to go see the Flyers and Blue Jackets Sunday at Wells Fargo Center. Get tickets at PhiladelphiaFlyers.com. Also an in-season tournament game because it's the regular. It's the
By the
regular
way,
season.
2 matinee games this weekend,
Yeah.
which is fun.
Yeah,
And the
it
Eagles
is
aren't
cool.
playing Sunday afternoon. Great scheduling by the Flyers.
All right, we got Liam in Conchi up next.
What's up, Liam?
Good morning, guys.
What's going on? Have you checked out the new PJs in Conchi yet?
I have not.
Oh,
I
it's-
over there.
You
Nice
got to get.
place.
It's beautiful. You
Yeah,
got to
it's
get in
huge.
there.
All right, your person is Jeff Stoutland. Your place is Australia. Your thing is a golden voice. Who is it? Jeff Stoutland, Australia, golden voice. What's the answer?
Jordan Mailata?
Nailed
ding,
it.
ding.
Yeah, didn't need help. He didn't need help. And because of that, he is going to end up winning a 4-pack of tickets to Tinseltown's Holiday Spectacular
they're gonna
at
love
FDR
that.
Park. Tinseltown Holiday Spectacular will bring the holiday magic for every family this season. Open tomorrow through New Year's Day. Plan your visit at tinseltownholiday.com. Let's go to Charlie in Haddon Heights.
Charlie, how are you, buddy?
What's going on, fellas?
We're in a roll today, man.
Yep. All right. Your person, Charlie, is Orlando Arcia. Your place is a Sports Illustrated cover. And your thing is whatever the Phillies are currently trying to sell. Once again, your person. Oh, you nailed it.
As much as we want to mock.
Nope,
championship-
wrong.
That was
There
a
we
wrong
go.
one.
Yeah,
There we go.
Yes, Bryce Harper is correct. And you are going to end up winning a 4-pack of tickets to go see Temple battle Memphis next Friday at noon, Lincoln Financial Field. Kids tickets are as low as $10 on game day. Visit owlstix.com.
By the way, have you seen the artwork from, gosh, I'm drawing a blank because I have that one from last year, Harper's home run. They have the artwork of Harper staring down Arcia.
No.
Oh, it's beautiful. I have last year's Harper home run. I'm drawing a blank. I'm so sorry. It's just the chemo brand's terrible. I'll get it.
Is it
I'll track it down.
Spectre's art?
Spectre art.
Yeah.
And it's
they do
beautiful.
amazing stuff.
Well, they have one of Arcia being stared down by Harper, too.
I might have to check
That
that
is
out.
absolutely beautiful.
All right,
absolutely
let's go to Mike in Philly, who's up next.
Michael, how are you?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey, Mikey.
All right, Mike, your person is Deshaun Jackson. Your place is UCLA. And your thing is smoothies. Once again, Deshaun Jackson, UCLA,
Kelly?
and smoothies. Chip Kelly is correct.
And fired today, right?
Was he fired today?
I think he's going to get fired. I think he's.
Oh, that would be awesome.
He potentially is going to get fired here.
Oh, this
so
day
that's
can't get better. Well,
job, Mike.
hopefully for Mike, it did get better as he won a pair of tickets to go see the Flyers Blue Jackets Sunday, Wells Fargo Center. Get tickets, PhiladelphiaFlyers.com. Let's get 2 more in here.
By the way, you can go see Johnny Hockey's team be one of the worst teams in the NHL for the second
They're
consecutive
not
year.
good. They're not good. Yeah, he's having a rough stretch of it, too. He
is.
He's having a bad season.
And everybody said you had to have him.
I would still take him. Anthony and Delco's next. Anthony,
what's going on, my friend?
Morning, boys. How are you?
Good, buddy.
all right, so your person is Doc Rivers. Your place is the strip club. And your thing is lack of self-awareness. Who is it?
That loser, James Harden.
Yeah.
Yeah, you crushed that one. You're going to end up winning a 4-pack of tickets to go see Temple Battle Memphis next Friday at noon, Lincoln Financial Field. Kids tickets as low as $10 on game day. Visit owlstix.com.
I don't know whether we can go to this last one or not because the line seems to be engaged.
It is, yeah, Brian and Hatboro.
If Brendan knows what's going on, there we go. It's
There
fine.
we go.
All right,
Okay.
they were having a long conversation. Brian and Hatboro, last contestant.
What's
What's
up, Brian?
going on, brother?
What's going on, guys? John, congratulations on beating cancer.
I appreciate it, man. Very, very happy day tomorrow at noon. Very happy.
All right, so your person is Rock, Tim, Glenn, or Scotty Rigo. Your place,
Just talk to Scotty.
your place is a basketball game, and your thing is being a complete jackass.
Oh,
Who is it?
Oh,
Cooney.
Bob Cooney, you nailed it. Yes.
oh, Bob's going to swing. Today's the day. Today's the day. Bob's going to swing. Today's the day he swings.
see the
Sometimes I
look on
wish
his
you were
face.
6 feet tall.
Yeah, I'm not though. I'm not. That's the cool thing about it, though.
You might hit his different.
Yeah,
different.
keep swinging, bud. You'll miss. Brian, you end up winning a 4-pack of tickets to go see Temple Battle Memphis next Friday at noon.
Great job.
Lincoln Financial Field. Kids tickets as low as $10 on game day.
You know how many percentage of men in this country are 6 foot and above, legitimately?
No.
That's
saw
not going
the
to make
shit.
me feel better. Go ahead.
No, Pat, it will make you feel better. I saw it yesterday on the news, and I went on the national news. I'm like, wait, really? It was all this thing about women saying that they don't want to date men that are less than 6 foot.
Yeah, I found that out.
Well, you're ruling out 83% of American men. 83% of American men are below 6 foot, legitimately. So
I will not
so
be
it's
using that
BS.
to pick up women.
So it's a bunch. So like but the women who say I'm only dating 6 foot men, they're going to go, well, I'm being selective. Well, that doesn't mean they ain't butt ugly. I've seen a lot of butt ugly tall men too.
Yeah, I'm looking at you two guys.
I'm not that tall. I'm not.
How
I'm
tall
not
are you?
6 foot. I'm not 6 foot. I'm like it depends.
What do you think
But
the
now
average
they say
height of an
now they
American
say
male is?
5'10". Now they say 5'10", 3/4. which means I've shrunk.
See, everybody to me is like 6'5".
I'm 5'10".
Because when you're 5'3", everybody
I'm supposed to be 5'10" and 3/4. I think I've shrunk.
Everybody's Boban when you're 5'3". So
What do you
guys
think
are
the
giants.
average height of an American male is?
5'9".
5'9".
There you go. Yeah, 5'9". And there's a lot of people that fall in the 5'8", 5'9", 5'10". Like, it's all right there. There's a lot of that going on.
Hence the average.
By the way,
Let's not forget about the 5'3" guys.
Bob Dennis is a policeman.
We say
that
Denny.
listens to the show, and he loves the show. And he said Bob Cooney would never get a ticket if I pulled him over.
Oh, that's nice.
But with that, he wanted to preface that with this.
Don't get pulled over.
It's about your Rob Thompson defense, about how he uses his bullpen. He said, let's just look at every other team that made the playoffs in the National League. The Braves, Dodgers, Brewers, Marlins, and Diamondbacks. None of them run their bullpens like the Phillies do. They run their bullpens traditionally.
Okay.
Back end guy, this guy, that guy. Like, Rob's reinventing the wheel when the wheel doesn't have to be reinvented. And the majority of playoff teams, he points out, would have used that. He said of the 12 playoff teams, 9, potentially 10, if you want to get technical, do it one way, and the Phillies choose to do it another. I don't like the bullpen by committee. It's almost like they always say the 2 quarterback thing. If you've got 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one. That it just bothers me going into next season again with that.
Yeah, I don't care what other teams do. Like, I just don't. If you see, that's why you're the manager. That's why you're the coach. You look at your team and you say, I think I can get the best production out of them by doing this, which may not be conventional. I'm all for it. Rob Thompson, we can say, yeah, he's fallen short twice, not winning World Series. I find it hard to argue with the success that he's had, though. Has he gotten the ultimate goal? No. But, he did this thing in the playoffs with the bullpen that no one ever saw before. That was unconventional. It got him success. Is it the ultimate? No. I'm just keeping an open mind to it. I don't care that 9 of the teams that you just mentioned didn't win a World Series either.
Yeah, I mean, it says the Texas does it traditional.
Okay, well, Texas did.
They did. Texas does it traditional. Astros.
Only one team wins the World Series, so you can say, look at all the playoff teams that don't do it. Okay, the Phillies went to the World Series and were 1 game from going to the World Series again. They've had as much success as any of those other teams that haven't won World Series either.
The last 2 teams that won World Series did it traditional, though.
Okay.
And wait a minute, go 3. But if I go 3, the team that wins the World Series has done a traditional 3 years in a row. Like having somebody know their role. Ricky swears by this.
Yeah.
And as a former pitcher, but I do believe the game is changing, though, Bob. I understand where you're coming from, because I do believe the game evolves and changes, and there's different things. And now they're going to reportedly move the pitch clock when a runner's on base from 20 to 18.
Yeah, I saw that.
And by the way, the complaints weren't there. Everybody thought there's going to be major complaints about the pitch clock and everything. It really didn't.
It went the opposite way.
People liked the games, and the fans loved it. Fans loved it.
How can you not? I mean, something that goes from 3:30 to, 2:45 or 2:50? I
mean, seriously.
You got to love that.
Haley says she likes 6'1" guys and above.
She's single.
That only lets you in. By the way, that's because you then only have 12% of men in America. If you go 6'2" and above, you only have 8%.
She has no idea what 6'1" and above is. Like, there's no way that if you line up a bunch of guys and you have some guy who's 5'10", 6'1", 6 foot, she goes, "Oh, that guy's a 6 foot guy." You know
does she
what I mean?
go up to a guy and go, "Oh, excuse me, how tall are you?" And
I
if
really
he
like
says,
you, and your personality's
I'm 6
great.
3/4. She goes, "Never mind."
Yeah,
like you can know if a guy.
that's
she
a crazy
does.
thing to
I mean, you're going to be single for a while.
She's a kid. She doesn't know what she's
You can
talking
know a
about.
guy like cousin Matt walks up to you.
I've tried to tell her about this, but
You know he's like 6'3", 6'4".
yeah, he's a tall
minimum.
guy.
So he's a tall guy. You're going to go, he's not even close to 6 foot. You know he's way over it. But for most guys, some guys could be 6 foot, 5'11", 6'1". It's sort
That's
of
my
all the
point.
same.
Like, if you line up a bunch of people 6'5", 6'1", 5'8", 5 foot, like, it's not like I don't think she's got a keen eye of going, "Oh, that guy's 6'1".
You know what I think it is? I think Haley's telling us on the dating app, the guy tells you what his height is. He tells you what his height is. Oh,
Yeah, I'm sure people never lie on dating
they
apps.
all lie.
No, that's
They're all
I mean,
lying.
that's why, I was having this conversation recently with somebody. I don't mind being as short as I am because I own it. There's no hiding it.
Yes.
But if I was 5'7", I feel like I'd be more prone to lie about being taller than I am, but at 5'3", there's no
You
hiding
own
it.
it,
I'm
right,
short
you
as
own it.
crap. Like it's, I barely get on the rides at Six Flags.
How tall's your pop?
5'5".
Okay.
Okay,
I want to
so-
say.
So you
I
have
was
no
doomed.
shot.
I was doomed
'Cause
from the get.
T-Dog is a tiny little
Yeah, she's
thing.
4'11".
She is a
Yeah.
cute little tiny thing.
Okay. All right. What
She's
on,
a sweetheart.
Uncle John?
Big sweetheart. All right, Bob's going to ask us, this guy's got to be saying, what did he get himself into? We'll get to it next. John Kincade Show, 97.5 The Fanatic. You know the temperatures are dropping. It's going to be cold. That means energy costs are on the rise. So if you've got old, drafty windows, now's the time to make the change. Why? Because you can get a great deal. If your home has 20 windows, what if I told you only pay for 10? Because they've got 2 free windows for every 2 that you buy from my friends at Window Nation. But what if I told you they would lend you the money for the project interest-free for 5 full years?
Beasley Media Group Station. Official home of the Sixers, Flyers, Union, and the best Eagles talk in Philadelphia. 97.5 The Fanatic. Now, back to the John Kincade Show on 97.5 The Fanatic, Philadelphia.
Appreciate you being with us on this Thursday morning. Life-changing prizes we're just giving out. John Kincade Show on 97.5 The Fanatic. And the latest, Bob, Ring. And I had read it this morning in my terms of ownership of a Ring system. The video had to come from the Oubres. Like the video that TMZ got, where he walks in and goes, I just got hit by a car. Has to have come from the Oubres because nobody else would have been able to release their private Ring doorbell video. It could have been subpoenaed in a court case, which has happened many times. If the police come and see that there's a camera system, they will say, may we have permission? If the police do not give permission, then they can try to get a court to say, give us the data and take a look at it. But that video that TMZ has, yeah, honey, I just got hit by a car, had to come from the Oubres. It couldn't have come from anybody else. Nobody would have released it. And by the way, TMZ, and I know pretty well, I know some people with TMZ through Shaq, they buy videos, which is another weird thing. They do buy videos.
Yeah.
That's what they have a history of doing, buying videos. So it's just a weird story all about. And it brings us to where Bob's talking about this guy saying, oh my gosh, seriously, what did I walk into here? What is going on?
Now, let's see what's in Cooney's corner.
Yeah, Nick Nurse comes in here. He's kind of the breath of fresh air that a lot of people wanted. Off to a really good start, playing a brand of basketball that people are writing about and talking about that's really fun to watch, scoring a lot of points, all of those things. I sat down and talked to him a couple of weeks ago, and of course, some of my line of questioning was about the James Harden situation.
Sure.
And him just taking off his hat and rubbing his head and saying, well, it really wasn't a situation for me because he was never here. He was never engaged. It wasn't like something that, he was here one day, gone the next. It just never materialized. So, he played it off as best he could, but it was a situation.
Diplomatically.
Then you bring in 4 new players when you finally do get rid of James Harden, so you have to work them into the system. And are they the type of players that fit your system? Then one guy that appears to be a great bargain that you got for practically no money, and everybody's questioning, wow, why is this guy so cheap when he's averaging almost 20 a game, has this pop up with a story of whatever. I don't know how it's going to play out. I have some inklings that I'm not ready to share, but this has just been a lot for Nick Nurse.
It has been.
Coming in just to try to coach a basketball team. You put on top of it that you have Nick Batum taking days off for personal reasons, and people speculating, oh, wait, is he retiring? Batum comes back and says, no, I'm not retiring. That's not it at all. But now he's missed 2 straight games for personal reasons that we don't know what they are. Man, wouldn't it be nice if Nick Nurse could just come in and coach basketball?
That's what I say.
He's getting grilled last night by the likes of we know who at press conferences about it. I thought he handled it perfectly. Look, I'm going to believe my player. I understand that some things are coming out. I don't know factually what they are. So until they all do come out and the truth is told, I don't know any more about it. I'm going to root for the guy to get healthy, and hopefully he can get back on the court and help us play, basketball again. But, he just said, I'm really not going to get in it until we know all the answers. I thought he handled that well. But, man, welcome to Philadelphia, Nick Nurse, huh?
Absolutely. I mean, he's getting thrown a curveball right off the bat. And there's nothing worse in a professional locker room, and he's the coach, having to answer these questions. Athletes hate it when they have to answer questions about somebody else. They don't like answering questions about somebody else.
Oh, no.
And that's all Nick Nurse has had to do already.
Yeah,
Just pretty much answer questions about somebody else.
So even more amazing that they started out 8-1 and now at 8-3 and all of those things. Also, and I'm going to get back down there to talk to him a little bit. He's put in this style of play. I'm still not convinced he has the type of players to uphold this style of play. Yeah, they want to disrupt on defense and run and pass and all that, ball and player movement on offense. Well, just look at like some of the players he had out there last night. You know, Patrick Beverly.
Are they
35.
good enough to be able to pull that off?
We're talking about a lot of older players out there, and you know, are they fit for this? God bless them. Through 11 games, they seem to be.
Are you saying fit as a good fit for the coach or a good fitness? Like
no,
they're
not,
able,
not fitness-wise.
like they're the kind of team. But I wonder, what will it be on Jamal Embiid come March playing this style?
Well, I think he'll be okay with it. Like I think he's all right. I just wonder if these other players, like it's great for a Tyrese Maxey. I think it's really good for a Tobias Harris. But can you continuously rely on now Nick Batum's going to be a starter for you probably? You know, guys 34, 35 coming off the bench. I don't think you have the bench fully figured out yet. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. But so far, so good. And when you throw in all the other stuff that I just mentioned, even better.
Love it. Absolutely love it. I mean, Pat, I would not want to be answering those questions at the press conference about everybody else.
No, and it reminds me a little bit of what Doc Rivers had to deal with when he came here. You know, it wasn't too long until his tenure where he had to deal with the crap of like Ben Simmons.
And he didn't like it.
John, you brought it up, man. Like, it's true. This team is a soap opera. Whether it be Barb Batoni's Twitter gate, whether it be Adam Silver forcing GMs, whether it be broken shots with number one picks, you know, point guards refusing to play basketball, the next guy getting into tiffs with GMs. Like, it is days of our lives.
It is.
And
except Stefano isn't coming back from the dead.
And I do feel bad for Nick Nurse because you sign up thinking, look, I'm just a basketball coach. I want to play basketball. I want to coach basketball. That's it. And now you got to answer all this ancillary stuff. I mean, my initial reaction to the Kelly Oubre stuff was just the basketball side of it. You know, when's he going to be back?
That's because we all thought it was 100% real, which we don't know yet if it was.
Yeah, and look, I mean, the whole situation.
We have no
weird,
idea.
But whether it's real, not, and I think Bob brought it up perfectly. If it's not real, the basketball implications are: does he get suspended because of it? Because he lied. If he's not, Woj had the report he could be back in 2 weeks.
I would think the NBA steps in if it's proven.
The NBA loves to step in,
and they will step in. And by the way, the law will too.
Yeah,
because you can't make false plea report. That also can come into play, which would get the NBA involved if that was the case. And we do not know if it is or not.
Adam Silver loves stepping in on the Sixers.
Well, he loves.
I actually like Adam Silver. It's just
I do too.
Some of the stuff he's done is really annoying me. But when it comes to the other commissioners in sports, he's the one I think is probably the coolest to hang out with.
I'd rather hang out with him than Roger Goodell.
Roger Goodell seems.
I think
like
Roger Goodell would not be fun.
He seems like a snake.
I got enough friends. I don't need any more.
No, that's not true, Bob.
Yeah.
What if Glenn today said, "You know what? I'm done with you."
Well, that wouldn't happen.
What if Rock said, "You know what, Bob? You never paid me back all that money. Pat brought it up this morning with interest. It's like $385, and I need it today."
That's a risk.
Never happened.
I got a feeling that, Bob, you're not somebody that people cut out of their life. You cut them out of your life.
No, I don't. I don't. I have a
I'm not saying that
rule.
I'm not saying there's a long list of it, but I'm saying I don't think you're getting dumped. I think you're doing the dumping.
Really?
I don't know. If somebody dumps you, they don't really tell you on the friendship level, do they? I have a real quick rule. Like,
they let you know
when I first meet somebody, I give you the benefit of the doubt. And it drives my wife nuts. If we're in a group and there's a stranger and they turn me off right away, she can read my face. Like, I'm done. But I don't make a big deal about it. I'm just done. Like, I'll walk
not worth
away.
your time.
Yeah, it's just.
That's why we don't hang out.
But no, I give everybody the benefit of the doubt. We do. You have an open invitation to come swimming whenever you want.
Open invitation.
No,
I'll be by tomorrow.
Tyrone Johnson says it the best. The open invitation is the non-invitation.
He actually did legitimately invite me over. But,
oh, good.
He lives in Timbuktu, and it was at a time where he was out of town.
Well, you could have gone to the pool, man.
That's not. You're such an ass.
He was out of town, and I did.
Wait a minute. He invited you over when he was out of town.
I stopped by. Sir,
crap.
No, I'm turning you my call. Sir, with all due respect, I stopped by your house. You invited me over to a certain date, certain time. I brought my 4-year-old. I knocked on the door. Tommy answered. He said, "Bob's not here right now," and he slammed the door in my face. and then he locked it. And you could hear,
hear the locking?
There's so many holes in this story. First of all, we can't leave Tommy home alone. Tommy can't speak all that well, so that's all bull crap. And to tell the truth, I don't know how many times on weekends during the summer I said to Pat, we got nothing this weekend. Don't forget, if you want to bring the kids over and go swimming, we're there. How many times?
The one time you actually gave me a hard date, you happen to be in Carolina. And,
going to Carolina in his mind.
Tommy's hosting a party.
So Tommy's having a bender
going on.
Well, he had his kegerator. He was using Bob's kegerator, and he had a martini glass, and he just said, "Bob's not here right now." And
there you go.
Nothing would make me happier.
Was he in a robe?
Yes, he was in.
He's wearing a smoking jacket robe, which his father won't wear. So, hey, the 9 o'clock hour is brought to you by the Bagster. It's a dumpster in a bag. You can get yours today at Home Depot and Lowe's. For details, go to Bagster.com. Pat, you wanted to ask the question about Phillies and how they're going to address their pitching, because they've got holes in this pitching rotation and in the bullpen. How are they going to address them? Pat has some ideas.
This is Pat's point of view. Here's Pat.
Hi, guys. Hello,
Hi,
it's
Patty.
me. It's Pat. I am here.
Come over whenever you want.
back from swimming at Bob's.
It's the non-invite.
So the Phillies obviously have a hole at pitching. We know that. Aaron Nola declined his qualifying offer as expected, and whether he comes back or not, that remains to be seen. Phillies are saying all the right things. Aaron Nola's saying all the right things, but still money will ultimately talk. And I stand by what I said at the beginning of the season. He's not coming back. Because
you've said that he's not coming back.
He either had a bad season, and he's going to be, why would you want him back at the price he'd probably get? Or he has a really good season, and he's going to be too expensive for the Phillies because they didn't reach an agreement. But we'll see.
What if he goes to Atlanta?
Okay, whatever.
All right. They were 14 games ahead of you without Aaron Nola.
I'm not going to make a deal. I'm not going to make a bad 6-year deal based on what my enemy might make.
Okay.
It's just okay. They can make that mistake, but
they're 14 games better without him, Mike.
Yeah, they might.
Like that, you may be worse.
And
far
if,
worse
and if
off.
the Phillies go out and they get Yamamoto and Aaron Nola continues to give up 30 home runs a year, then we're going to be laughing about it. But where do you think they do end up addressing pitching? Is it free agency, or is it the trade market? Trade market. We've kind of talked about the guys that are out there that we think at least would be out there. Corbin Burns probably the number one guy. Free agency, it's bad. It's Aaron Nola, it's Blake Snell, it's Yamamoto, Sonny Gray. That's kind of it. Like it's a bad free agent market. It's nothing. Let me clarify. It's a bad free agent market if you're looking for a number 2.
It's Gray and Snell that I think they will be shopping for, because I think they're going to shop, Pat. Dave Dombrowski's history says he's willing to do that. He'll trade, but he usually only trades for guys that are very controllable. Mm-hmm. That tends to be his desire. I want a guy. He'd be more likely to pluck someone off of someone's roster that we don't expect, that we get blown away by. Oh God, this guy's got 2 more years of control. Whatever. I think they're shopping free agency. That's how I.
Well, and that's an interesting point you bring up, because if they trade for Corbin Burns, does Dave Dombrowski want to be in the exact same situation he's
I think
found
you'd
himself
have.
in this
I think
year?
you'd have a deal.
No, I think you would too. I think
you'd
you'd have a
ask
deal
for
in
one
place.
of them, deal in advance type of things.
I agree, and that's what happened when Roy Halladay got traded to the Phillies. He had a deal in place, and that's ultimately when the trade went through. Was when he had the contract. But
sure.
Still, I mean, does Dave Dombrowski want to go down that road? Because we have seen teams before who trade for guys and they go, all right, we'll try to re-sign them.
I don't think he'd ever make that trade.
But
without
it depends. It depends.
That's why I think he's buying.
It depends on the price. Like if Corbin Burns unsigned is cheaper than Corbin Burns pending a deal, and I don't know why he would be, but hypothetically speaking, maybe he does make that move. But I think the better pitching is more likely pitching is on trade market. But Bobby, what do you think?
I go 145.
With whom?
Aaron Nola. I think it'll be enough to get him.
Wow.
And I think they make a trade for another pitcher also. I think they're going to go do something that we don't expect.
I don't know where they would fit that guy.
That'd be awesome, but where's he fit in the rotation?
I don't know. It might just be, look, it's not going to be this is your Aaron Nola replacement, even if you re-sign him or whatever. I think it's just going to be another arm, another starting arm. Not just another, but a good starting arm I say they're going to do both, Pat. They're going to sign a pitcher, and it's going to be Nola.
And then a
they're
trade.
going to make a trade for a pitcher.
The only reason I don't think that they would do both is
You have a lot of young arms down there.
it's not just it's young, it's cheap too.
Yeah, that's
But maybe
true.
one of them is used in a deal to get maybe the veteran pitcher that Bob's saying they trade for one.
Possibly, but that veteran pitcher is still expensive. You do ultimately want to stay under the luxury tax because you don't want to be giving up more money. You don't want to be giving up draft pick compensation. That's what would happen. So that's why I think Christopher Sanchez is likely to be your number 5. That's why I think they've gone so heavy on pitching in the draft last couple of years, is because they do want to develop the younger, cheaper guys. So they're not paying an exorbitant amount of money to a Taiwan Walker to not pitch.
Sure.
Right. And that guy got $19 million last season, and he led the team in wins, but he was a number.
He'll be their
3 or 4.
and he'll be their 4, and then if Sanchez is their 5th.
So if they use Sanchez, hypothetically speaking, here to trade for a veteran arm, the veteran arm's probably making $10 million plus. So you just went from Sanchez making $800,000 to $9.2 million or more that you have to tack on. You got raises coming to some of these guys. That's why I don't think that you're going to get both.
Okay.
So Gray is signed. He's a free agent. He's a UFA.
Yeah, he's a free agent.
Yeah.
He made $12.7 last year.
That was coming off a bad year, I believe.
Now he's a...
Well, he had a 3-year contract that he signed in 21, which was 10-7, 10-7, 12-7. Interesting.
The
Do you still
connection
think,
with
does that change your opinion on buying and selling? Like buying one on the free agent market and then trading?
He's
trading up?
34. He'll be 34 next year when he pitches.
I do not want Sonny Gray. Do not want him. Do not want him. I'm on the record.
I mean, I might take him on a 1-year deal, but he's not going to sign a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like
Not
there's
at
such
34, no.
there's
I don't
such
want
a
him.
premium for pitching in Major League Baseball that you're not getting. You'd have to overpay for a 1-year deal.
I
Don't
just
want him.
have this unbelievable, overwhelming feeling that Aaron Nola is not going to get the money that we think, the crazy, crazy money that we think. Yeah, I don't know. I think he's going to be back.
I think Blake Snell gets obviously the most. He just won the Cy Young Award.
He did.
He's a 2-time Cy Young Award winner.
Yep.
I think he gets paid by somebody. And then once that happens, I think there is a little bit of a spending spree when it comes to, oh crap, who's number 2? Let's Aaron Nola. All right, well, we're out of the Yamamoto sweepstakes, so let's go get Aaron Nola.
You see that there was a story that flies under the radar that affects the Phillies in a big way, though. You saw Warren Buffett just bought in
For what?
to the Braves ownership.
It doesn't mean anything to me.
For them to be able, they don't have the fluidity of cash under Liberty Media's leadership that they did. But Warren Buffett wanted to buy into Liberty Media, but he also is in part of the Braves now, giving them freedom to spend.
They're all
that
signed
does not-
already anyway for 8 years, aren't they?
That doesn't scare me in the slightest. I mean, one, you're buying into a sports team, so
Well, you're buying into Liberty Media, who
okay.
owns the sports team.
Then it's like we're assuming that he bought in because of the Braves. I mean, sports teams are only going up in value. Also, this is a guy that is, while rich as hell, can be a little frugal at times. Like
he sold all his GE stock to do this, by the way.
He's known to eat McDonald's every day.
That's weird.
Yeah, every day.
McDonald's isn't cheap
How is
anymore,
how is he that old eating fast food every day?
Happy Meal's
Yeah,
like
ask him that.
$9.
Yeah, but
I don't know. I gotta
he
ask.
stops by every day. He gets the same thing every single day.
It's amazing.
But no, I mean, we did the same thing with Steve Cohen, and then they went
Yep,
out and they
I got you.
signed James McCann for $40 million. So I'm not worried about Warren Buffett.
Brent in media joins us. Brent, good morning. You're on the Fanatic.
Good morning. So I want to talk about the Phils, and I want to talk about how we need a second pitcher. And I'm a big fan of Corbin Burns. If we can trade for
That's
him.
who I want.
Yeah, I don't want to trade some of our top prospects though. If we can keep Aiden Miller and stuff like that, I would be a fan if we can get Corbin Burns, because I don't think we're going to be able to re-sign Noah. I think Noah wants big money, and I think someone's going to shell out. Maybe Cardinals will shell out.
Well, the Cardinals and the Braves are in on Nola reportedly.
Yeah, I think the Cardinals are going to sign Nola. So I'm a big fan of trading for Corbin Burns. But if we can't get Corbin Burns, I like Sonny Gray and Yamamoto. If we can sign one of those two, I'd be a fan of that.
I'm not in on Gray. Can't join you on Sonny Gray. But the idea of the Pat, you've talked about it before. A lot of times these guys with 1 year left in their contract, you think it's going to be a huge deal to go get them. and then it ends up not being that way at all.
Usually
you don't end up. It doesn't end up being the king's ransom that everybody thinks it's going to be.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see what Sonny Gray ends up getting on the open market because he's had some really good seasons and he's had some really bad seasons. So it'll be interesting to see.
I want no parts.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily like Sonny Gray's not moving the needle for anybody. I don't think. But looking at his numbers, it's 4.90, 2.87, 3.70, 4.19. Like
sounds like Nola a little bit.
It does sound like Nola. But if he comes at half the price of Nola, then okay, maybe it's not that bad of a move.
What's the amount of starts a year?
You're looking at 32 last year, 24 the year before that, 26. 11, but that was 2020, the shortened season, 31. So he's a workhorse.
Good. He's pretty durable, yeah.
He was drafted out of college, so it's a lot of bullets on the arm, but he just doesn't move the needle, I don't think, for anybody. And he's coming off of the best year of his career at 33. So
I never bet on that when a guy has his best year at 33. No, I'm going to say that's the anomaly. I'm moving on. No.
A couple of years ago, Robbie Ray.
Yes.
For the Blue Jays, ends up winning the Cy Young Award for agent year, and he kind of fell into this where he didn't exactly cash in probably as much as you would have thought when he ended up signing with the Mariners. And I forget the length of the deal and the money, but it wasn't as much as you'd think for a Cy Young winner, and he hasn't lived up to the contract.
One of the biggest stories of the day in Philadelphia is the Kelly Oubre story, plus the Sixers losing to Boston, which somehow gets a little glossed over. We'll hit both of them next. John Kincade Show on 97.5, The Fanatic. Hey, if you're getting ready to move, or you're finally going to get done a big organizing project, or you just want to get junk out of your house, why don't you take care of the Bagster? And you know what? If you went and bought a Bagster today at your local Home Depot, Lowe's, or home improvement store, paid just $29.99 for it, and carry it out under your arm, it's lightweight, it's easy to be able to get it to your car. You'll love it. And then you've got any time. When you
BlueChew.com. That's BLUEChew.com. And don't forget, you got to enter the promo code FANATIC.
Now, back to the John Kincade Show on 97.5 The Fanatic, Philadelphia.
Bob Cooney wins the morning with the line of the day. Pat's going to take a swing at him. He says,
"What's up, bud?"
He's all up for the Blue Chew. He said, "I'm up for the Blue Chew if it helps you last longer than Pat's reads." For the Blue Chew.
You know I would.
He won
say
for the
something
day.
like that.
Wait a minute. I did not lie setting that up.
I just asked a simple question. I said, does the effect of the Blue Chew last as long as this read? Because if it does, I'm a happy man.
Pat,
Last night, did your wife call you Dallas because you couldn't get in the end zone when it mattered most? Is the only thing that's stiff is a drink?
I'm going to give Pat all the credit in the world because he puts his time in and does it. I hear too many people in our industry that do a read, and it's the same freaking read every time. And they just read off a script. You don't do that.
No, well,
you put time into it.
I'm trying to help, couples out.
You
This is a
are.
serious
You're the
thing
love
here.
doctor.
Yeah, this
Well,
is a
some of
serious
the reads
thing.
you have to stay on script.
Yeah,
Yeah,
some of them
gotta
you
make
keep
sure.
staying
Some of
more
them
on
you
script.
do.
But this one, yeah, Pat's got his hands all over it.
Oh, I got my hands all over something.
What?
Thanks to that first month being
Come on,
free
Bob.
from BlueChew.com.
It's just a $5 shipping charge, too.
That's
Oh,
if I
my
mean, it's like,
gosh.
what? It's a cup of coffee, right?
Promotion code
Okay.
Fanatic, after all.
The
That's
number
Fanatic with an F.
The number one story in Philly, and it was trending all last night, is Kelly Oubre. And Bob, I know you were working sources because you are a journalist at heart, and you also too you gave a really good. You even corrected me on one point that I made, which you were right to correct me on. Is I do not believe we should be speculating on what the Kelly Oubre story really is, because we have no idea, and it could be almost anything. But what we do know is this factually. We do know that they checked the Philly police camera. They checked the Philly cameras. Didn't see anything. They checked 2 local businesses. Didn't see anything. And there's nothing. And the Kelly Oubre video that was shared via his home camera, where he says he walks in the door and he goes, "I got hit by a car." That is only released by the Oubres. So they're not going to release a video that would be that. That seems like to me. I always ask why? What would be the motivation in releasing that video? That Kelly walked in and said he got hit by a car? Like that's so I mean there's those. But as you pointed out, you can't speculate anything. I speculated about the bike. I'm like, there's no mention of a bike in any of these things, and he's walking the bike in, and you made a great point.
Yeah, maybe the bike was just sitting out there, and he was walking in and grabbed it to bring it into the house, even though he was hurting with the ribs.
Which would be
It is
strange.
a broken rib. It's a high broken rib. So, that goes into thinking, too. If he got hit with a car mirror.
It's not going to be a high broken rib.
Right, and there was a report at first that it was a car, and then it got changed to an SUV. A car couldn't hit him that high, a taller man like that, and then the number of the rib that it is even higher. So, there's just...
He's 6 what?
Oubre's like 6'5", I believe.
Okay.
It's weird. It's funny the way people go into different things. Obviously I got texts from people yesterday who were like, "Oh my God, look at this. It's all made up and stuff." My first thought isn't that. My first thought is, all right, get to the bottom of it. What's the truth? What's the bottom of it? I'm not going to speculate right or wrong or good or bad. Just what happened. And I can confidently say, and talking to some of my sources, no one truly knows what exactly happened right yet.
No.
Except for him.
And more importantly, there is one thing, though, that was always a standard with Betty. And I think it's something that I tried to carry. I always said to Olivia, if there was something going on, I'd go, "Liv, you got one chance to tell me the story. One chance. Because if you tell me a fake story and I find out it's a fake story, then I'm not going to believe your second story. So tell me the story. Just tell it." And she was an honest kid and learned that was sort of the standard. Just say it right the first time. You get caught. Whatever it is.
Either that or she fooled your ass for many years.
Which very well might have happened. The idea,
we know as parents.
The idea, though, is that we don't know yet. And no one should be speculating on what potentially is the story. We can wait on that. We have days to wait on that. That's not a big deal. But if it is a false story, it's making a false police report. The Sixers going to be pissed. It's good because Nick Nurse is up there having to answer questions about it. There's a lot of things. If it's bad news in that regard, that's not good. It's not good for the Sixers moving forward. And for a new guy in the locker room, I would think that would be really bad for a guy who just arrived.
And you asked the question weeks ago about how come he was so cheap.
Yeah.
And the response was, well, there's some speculation about his reputation around the league.
Sure.
And that's fine. I don't judge people that I don't know, and he seems to have fit in very well here on the basketball court and with his players. The fact that Tyrese Maxey drops 50, gets a microphone, shoved in his face and says right away, that was for Kelly. It's not about me.
That's embarrassing if this ends up being something.
He's endeared himself to his teammates, Yeah, if he tried to pull one over his teammates and a coach, yeah, if I was a teammate or coach, yeah, I'm not looking real well on it. Like, how can I trust you type of thing.
Yeah, it's like if this ends up being, but again, that is speculation too. Even saying those words, it maybe is incorrect on my part because of the fact that you're speculating that we do know that the story that was told is not able to be backed up. And they are spending, and they're spending public resources and everything to say, okay, you told us this is what happened. We're trying to figure it out, and we can't verify what you said. I heard Tyrone yesterday saying, well, maybe there are business owners that something illegal was going on, and they decided to delete the video. I'm like, wait a minute here. There's street cameras they're following, too. Now, everybody is not in on some grand conspiracy as far as covering this up or talking about this. It's not – this isn't good. This just has a bad look to it. All over, everywhere, this has got a bad look. And hopefully,
if it's untrue, it does.
It's got a bad look.
If he said I was at 20th and Market, and it turns out he was actually at 18th and Market, well, they've gone through all the video from 20th and Market and maybe worked their way down east and then west and then north and south and then it's 18th and Market. Now you have to check all of those things too.
And why would it be changing all of a sudden?
I had one source. There's also speculation like, he was so messed up in the head that. And traumatized or whatever, that maybe he gave the wrong address. Maybe he gave the wrong street corners. I don't know.
We don't know, right?
Yeah, I had a source tell me yesterday, like, look, sometimes it takes time with all the video, but it's usually gotten.
Yeah.
So, if there is video to be had, like this source told me, it probably will be gotten.
And that could be a good or bad thing in this story, but that's where it is. Now, the bad story of the night, though, really happened on the court. Another loss to the Celtics, and so that's one. But I was telling Pat earlier, I did see them win last week against Boston, so I know that. Like, I put more, and if I honestly, it was full strength Sixers, full strength Celtics, and the Sixers won. I wonder, could there have been, and we didn't talk about it earlier, could there have been a little letdown last night when another team sees guys not in the lineup? They're A-list guys not in the lineup. I know the Sixers won a couple games last year where they played with like the D team. Sacramento. They played with like a D team. They managed to beat the Kings in Sacramento. There's games where a team will sit out guys, and sometimes you're amazed that they won the game. How did they do that? Sometimes maybe I would imagine professional athletes let down.
Yeah.
But the Celtics makes that less likely.
It does. I go more towards it's the third game in 4 nights and the energy that they had to put out against Indiana. Not excuse making. I think Boston matched up well. You remember in that first game, they did what they used to do with Marcus Smart last year, and they put a guard on Joel Embiid. And this time it was Drew Holiday. The last time they played him at full strength. Well, this time they did it a little more even up. They started Al Horford. Al Horford plays really good defense against Joel Embiid.
Good.
He did it again last night. They put Drew Holiday on Tyrese Maxey. He did a really good job on Tyrese Maxey and also wore them down offensively. So it just wasn't in the cards last night, and it didn't happen. Those type of games, believe it or not, they do happen.
And it does. I mean, it's okay. That didn't make Pat Egan feel any better, though.
Nope.
Didn't in any way make Pat feel better. And we tried, Pat. We knew you were a little down on it, but I don't disagree with you being down. I think it's a little, and I don't want to say overreaction because that's not fair, but I think it is slightly too much for a regular season game. Slightly too much.
Maybe. For me, it's more to do with the opponent than anything. If they lost to Denver, if they lost to Miami, if they lost to Milwaukee, when they lost to Indiana, I didn't give a rat's ass.
No, you didn't even care.
It's the team that broke me like 6 months ago. Like the team that made me go like, well, why do we do this to ourselves? And I felt like a carbon copy of how a Celtics-Sixers game goes, where starts out back and forth. Then the Celtics jump out to a big lead. And then the Sixers start clawing their way back.
Yeah, make a run.
And then they bring it within 1 or 2. And then all of a sudden, you've got everybody blocking shots, hitting threes, and in the blink of an eye, the Celtics are back up by 10. And they've got some rando hitting bombs. I mean, like I vividly remember Aaron Baines all of a sudden becoming the best 3-point shooter of all time.
This is PTSD.
Yeah, it is. It's
Celtics PTSD.
I don't even have it as bad as a Bob, who grew up with like Larry Bird and Kevin McHale. Like I have it with recently, really. I mean, growing up, the worst I had it was Antoine Walker. So, but like this recent string of past 6, 7, 8 years. And I see Al Horford doing what he's doing, and it's just like, geez, man, like
where was
can this guy retire? Yeah, it's annoying as hell. And the fact that it was a back-to-back, yeah, it plays a factor in it. But when the Celtics are missing their 2 starters in Kristaps and Jaylen Brown, it's like kind of that goes out the window for me. If they had started Kristaps, Porzingis, and Jaylen Brown, I probably wouldn't be this pissed off.
Okay, Andre says in the DMs, how the hell are they tired? We've just started the season. It's not even a month since the opener. How could players be tired? I would think 3 games in 4 nights is going to tire you out, whether you play him, Bob, in November or whether you play him in March. But I understand his point. You're going to have a lot less in the tank if you have to play these kind of games in March. Because you play but he's saying, how the hell are they tired already?
I hear you, and I hate using the tired stuff as an excuse and all that. But look at the roster. It's just littered with 30, 32, 34, 35-year-olds that have to get significant playing time. I've seen it up close. Those guys don't bounce back as well as they did 10 years ago.
You mean when they were 25?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's shocking.
But Pat makes a great point. It stings that much more because it is Boston. Like Jason Tatum blowing kisses.
Oh, I hate that crap.
Like, come on, dude. I can't stand that. It takes the littlest of things to make me not stand the Celtics.
Jason Tatum is up there with one of my most hated NBA players currently. Like I loathe that guy. But they've kind of creeped into Mets territory where I'm finding different ways to dislike some of their players.
Is Tatum
like I'm pulling hamstrings, reaching to find reasons not to like certain players on the Celtics because of who they play for. The only guy I don't despise is Drew Holiday.
I want to put you the ultimate test. If Jason Tatum a year from now, 2 years from now becomes a Sixer, can you set that aside? Because if you really, sometimes when you really hate somebody, you're like, I never would want to see them on my team ever.
I mean, ultimately,
but he is so freaking awesome.
He's good. So I'm sure I'd come around to it. It would take a while. Like, I don't like Marcus Morris. I've never liked the Morris twins as a whole. And I angry text our buddy Devon every time he steps on the court. That hasn't changed for me. But Marcus Morris compared to Jason Tatum isn't even close. So, I'd be excited that they got a good player, but he annoys me.
Who was the 86 Met, Bob, that became I've got the chemo thing.
Mikey Wilson?
That became a Philly.
Lenny Dykstra.
No, not I love Lenny Dykstra. There was another Met who became a Philly.
Todd Pratt?
No, he was a position player, and I'm drawing a blank.
Felix Mion.
Keith Hernandez.
No, it wasn't Keith Hernandez.
Jose Reyes.
No, it really was somebody serious. That was Kevin. I'm literally drawing a blank, and I can see him. And he became a Philly, and I hated that he was a Philly. He was a former Met.
Jeffries?
Greg Jeffries. I hated that he was a Philly. Didn't like it. Didn't want him to be a Philly.
Yeah, he didn't.
He had that stank on him, and you've talked about that before, Pat, as a fan. He's got that Met stank on him, or that I didn't want that.
I mean, I had that with Pedro when he first signed with the Phillies.
And then you loved him, right?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't like when Hideki Matsui was at the plate, but yeah, I ended up liking Pedro. But
you got a long memory, dude.
It took a bit there for me to kind of come around on Pedro. But when you dislike a player, I mean, ultimately you have to put it aside. And if they got a player of Jason Tatum's caliber, yes, I would like it. Would I ever buy a Jason Tatum jersey or a jersey or no?
This week's, with you, you're 5'3".
Yeah.
You are 5'2", full of memory. Because you've got the memory of trades, all that. 5'2" of you is memory.
If
and
only,
then everything else is.
If only colleges, valued that when you apply, but they didn't.
You should have put it on your resume.
My one SAT, I put it was the written part of the SAT.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I did a whole thing.
Blue book?
I put in an analogy of T.O. and the Eagles.
They took that away, Pat.
Thank God.
Too stressful.
I actually did well on it, but it didn't matter.
Too stressful for the children.
Wow.
Isn't that great?
I mean, the SAT itself is
too stressful that they took that away.
I'll sit here and say it's stressful, but for me, I went to a Phillies game the night before I took it, so that probably explains a lot.
You weren't stressed then.
The stress level with the SAT was if you don't answer it, you get no points. If you answer it and it's wrong, you get minus.
Right.
A quarter of a point. And you're like, well, I don't know. So
don't answer it and don't get the extra point.
Yeah, more than half of it I didn't answer.
Well, Shaq said he put C. He put
for everything?
He put C down, and he gave us the score that he got. The first time he did it, he got a 640. He put down a C for every single answer and got a 640. And he skipped questions that he had no idea of, and he got a 640. Just screwing around. And Dale Brown told him, are you screwing around? Do you just think you're going to get golden passes in and everything? How about actually taking things seriously and getting a legitimate score that I can take to administration and say he's a real student? And so Dale Brown, it did work. I forget the number because we compared numbers one day. And his best number was only 100 less than mine. My worst number, which was bad.
Yeah, I don't miss.
Wasn't good.
I don't miss taking 3-hour SATs.
I couldn't sit still.
That's surprising.
That's part of it. Yeah, exactly. Hey, Euro John joins us. John, what's going on, brother?
Hey, what's going on, guys? I want to talk about Joel Embiid and what he should have worked on all summer after Horford
ate his lunch.
Basically, he doesn't have a right-handed Jokic shot, 6 feet. They give the ball to Jokic late in games. He abuses guards when guards switch off on him. And they don't even try to pull a Drew Holiday or a Marcus Smart on because they know he has a hook shot. Boston knows he doesn't have a hook shot. I don't know what Drew Hanlon was doing all summer with him. After seeing that playoff series and they're putting Marcus Smart on him, Bob, why does he not have a right-handed hook shot? All summer, he should have worked on that right-handed hook shot. And Bob,
you talk about it like it's a normal play in the league, John. Who the hell has a hook shot?
I mean, nobody's using that anymore.
A hook shot.
He starts yelling at Bob. Like Bob's the reason he didn't work on it. Look, there's good bad.
Worked on a hook shot. Huh.
Who's working a hook shot? Honestly.
I don't know.
But maybe for that one series, you bring it out?
I don't.
Yeah.
I got to be honest. There's not a lot of complaints I have about the MVP. The current MVP of the league.
I feel like I just went back to 1988 talk radio.
I will say this. I always found it fascinating that the all-time leading scorer in the NBA for 40-plus years had one signature move, and nobody ever copied it.
Well, it did. Okay. Reason being, do you think is it one of two things? Was it too difficult to copy?
Nah. With these athletes today?
What was it?
Don't know. I honestly don't know. Don't know why nobody ever copied it. Don't know why nobody ever really tried it. The only guy I saw try it as much as him was one of his teammates in Magic Johnson. But, I mean, you're talking about the all-time leading scorer until LeBron came along in the NBA for 40 years. And he had one signature move, and nobody ever tried to emulate it. I think it's funny.
That's a great mystery question.
Yeah.
Going back to Steve Fredericks and Mike Missinelli back in the day, that could have been one of the mystery questions. That may be Bob, that may be the best sports one that I can think of. Is that why didn't somebody try to do that? Tom in Alabama joins us. Hi, Tommy.
Yo, John, praise the Lord, my friend.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate your note. It was very kind.
Hey, let me tell you, John, no joke, I've run across some tough cats in my day, and they don't have anything on you, my friend.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you very much.
Hey, the reason why nobody's done that hook shot is because just like underhanded free throws, it's not cool, man. That like Ben Simmons said, that ain't cool. I'm not going to do that.
I don't know. Leading the NBA for 40 years in scoring for a lifetime, that's pretty cool.
I'd love that. That's cool.
Tell you what, he killed us almost as bad as Larry Bird killed us. I mean,
he did.
Well, from 1981, we could have had a world championship. They blew a 3-1 lead to the Celtics, and the Celtics rolled the Rockets in the finals.
Well, the one when the game they always point to, though, oh, well, did you know, like Magic Johnson jumped center when Kareem was out? He jumped center. I think he played center for the first possession.
Yeah.
And then pretty much that was it. Like, it was like they made a big deal of it. But replacing Kareem's just freaking awesome. He was great. And he was so consistent. There was no, but you hate the Celtics, dude. You and Pat, you should have lunch because you both hate the Celtics.
I'll tell you what, between them and the Lakers, I mean, if the Lakers would have had somebody to guard Kareem, we pushed them Hall of Fame teams to the brink, man.
We did. We pushed, and that was one of those things where we were the best next team. We were the best next team.
Oh, you had such a threesome there for so many years of Celtics, Lakers, Sixers. It was just who was going to win it. Then you sprinkled in a Moses Malone Houston team that was good, and then you grab him from Houston in order to get over the top. The Sixers did. The shame of it all, like those were such great periods of time of basketball. The shame of it all was that the Sixers didn't win more. They won a championship in 1983 with a starting five that had 4 Hall of Famers, and I think Andrew Toney would have been a 5th had he not gotten hurt, and a Hall of Famer coming off the bench. And you added Charles Barkley to that mix, and you didn't wind up winning any more championships.
And they added Barkley right after the championship, right?
Yeah. Barkley was in the
next draft.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. It really is. It is. You know, is that the story of Philadelphia sports? that every window we've had, even when they've won a championship, that in the window, we always go back and look and go, man, there was this miss and that miss and this close call and that close call. The Phillies window is one of the biggest ones, but as Bob just brought up, the Sixers one is a huge one. I mean, you know, they lost in the finals in 77. Or was it 76? 77. They lost in the finals in 81 and 80. 80 and 81. I mean, there were a lot of missed opportunities.
Is the narrative, damn, should have had something? Yeah, I'm 57 years old. I've seen, you know, for lack of a better term, but I have seen, because I do remember the Flyers 2 cups. I've seen 6 championships in my life, and I'm 57.
We have every right to be. We have every right to want more.
Pat, that sucks. All right?
I've seen 2.
See?
But you got 20. Yeah, but you have 20-some years.
I'm not crying for you jackasses who lived through the 80s, bud. All right? Like, this woe is me crap. Oh, I feel you good. Guess what? You lived through 1980. I don't want to hear it from you. Okay?
You acting like we should be dead?
No, but like it sucks for everybody. But you guys had it the best.
No. I'm not saying that. You're misconstruing what I'm saying.
Pat,
who had it better?
Pat, you are living in a great. First of all, the most relevant team in Philadelphia during your lifetime has been always pretty much in the mix, except for the odd year. In our lifetimes, the most relevant team in Philadelphia sucked for 30-some of those years.
How did 1980 look? Was that cool?
It was a glimmer.
Wait as many championships in the 80s as you've had in the teens.
And we didn't have a win. We didn't have a win.
I think.
You did win in 1980. You won the Phillies.
Yep.
Well, no. 80 for the Phillies was great. We lost
83.
we lost the other 3 teams.
83.
No, they didn't win in 83. The Sixers. No, I'm talking about the Phillies. Come on now.
I didn't have a Super Bowl till you had
I wasn't crying. I don't know why you're.
I'm not saying.
This.
I'm looking at him. I'm not even looking at you.
No, I'm saying is
now I'm looking at you.
You've grown up in the golden era.
Okay,
where from
Super Bowls.
From 2000, we're now in 2023. We now have seen the Eagles be completely relevant for 23 years.
If you were going to sit here and look at me and tell me that you having won, 5 championships, 6 championships, whatever it is. 6? You watched 6 championships, and you're going to sit here and tell me that it has been worse for you
but Pat,
than it has been for me. Then I just pat you on the head and say, okay,
Pop.
that a guy.
Pat's patting. You got 20-some years, though, 20-plus to make up that you have opportunities to win. And by the way, the window for the Sixers is still open despite your fingers
being. Can't help that he's only 30.
Yeah, but I'm not.
No, but I mean, you can't compare.
Crap, but
you can't compare somebody who's lived in this to that.
I have 2.
Yeah, but it's because you have all those years to go.
It seems like you're trying to paint the picture that I've had it so great.
The fact that the Eagles have been relevant for 23 years is better than anything.
Or is it more frustrating?
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
think so.
Yeah, like it could be more frustrating. We had this,
really? Bob, you lived it.
But you're looking at one team and not the rest of Philadelphia sports.
All right, what percentage of the team of the Eagles is the fandom in this town?
I don't care about that.
Well, you could if you're making that relevant.
No, I'm not.
You just made the.
You're ignoring the 3 teams having success when you were growing up. This is like the worst pissing contest of all time. We just need to.
Yeah, I'm just
we need
waiting
to
for the
zip up our
clock to run,
flies.
yeah.
But yeah, you're painting the picture of no, you had it easier because the Eagles were winning a lot, even though they didn't win a championship. They won a lot. Okay, well,
we had the greatest era of Sixers basketball.
You had the greatest era of Philly sports.
We had the greatest era of Flyers hockey.
No question.
Before Pat,
we were chilling.
And by the way, we had the greatest era of whom am I missing? Eagles, Phillies, Flyers, Sixers, Flyers, and Phillies. We saw the greatest eras before he was born.
And the greatest era of Flyers hockey was when
I'm on your side on this, Pat.
I was done in 6th grade.
Started this mess.
It was over in 6th grade.
And my heart bleeds for you.
But no, the 80s were real good too.
No, yeah, but not delivering. And I was part of two of those things being there right there.
But the Eagles that you're trying to make, they didn't deliver until I was 27.
The Flyers, with all due respect, aren't in this town what the Eagles mean. The Eagles change the mood of the entire city, can make everybody's Monday crappy. And or Tuesday, depending on, because we got Monday Night Football. But you guys will be a Trap Tavern on Monday night. So you'll make sure that Monday night is fun even before the games begin.
Yeah, and we go on air at 6, but we're going to be there. Pat, I don't know if you were told this, but I just was. We're going to be there at 5. So from 5 to 8, come on out. We'll have some fun. Might have some giveaways, drinking some Coronas. Lauren Henwood's going to be there, and she's going to be having beers with us too. So.
Oh, that's fun too.
Oh yeah, she's phenomenal.
Right.
So all she has to do is find a babysitter if anybody's available.
Any babysitters available?
Yeah.
Hey, support life-saving cancer research. Join us and our generous partners, Paul B. Moyer and Sons. Love you guys in making a tradition to the American Association and making a donation to the American Association for Cancer Research today. Do it at 975thefanatic.com/AACR because cancer research saves lives. Our mystery donor will match every donation from a new donator to the fund. Absolutely match it dollar for dollar through New Year's Eve. So please, could you please be generous? Everything counts. And I got 26 hours left that I have to wear this stupid device. And then it's over. So cancer research does save lives. Hopefully mine. Have a great day, everybody. To be a little selfish. I know Andrew Saltunis just in